So anyways, can one of y'all let me know, is the sound okay now? Yeah, okay. Good. Cool. So, let's get into this. So yeah, the reason I'm here is I've had this set of 2001 Topps Home Team Advantage sitting around for probably a month now, and I've been wanting to do something with it, but I haven't got around to making a video, and I thought it'd be cool to open it in a live stream. And if y'all have been watching some of my videos, you know that one of my favorite cards right now is a 2001 Topps Ichiro Rookie card. But there's actually 4 different parallel versions of this card. There's the regular card, there's a gold foil parallel version that was randomly inserted that only goes to 2001. There's the Topps Home Team Advantage version, which has a gold stamp that says Home Team Advantage on it. And that was a limited set that was sold to people who were members of the Topps Home Team Advantage, like, collecting club. And then there's another set that, there's actually there's 5 parallels of this card. So there's another set that's the limited edition set, which is a thicker cardstock. It's like a 20-point cardstock, and it came in a wood box. It was really nice, and they only made 3,905 of those sets total. And then there's another set that this was the 50th year of Topps baseball, so there's another set that Topps made just for Topps employees, and I think there's only like 150 of those sets that exist. That's all they made. So anyways, let me switch over here. So the Topps Ichiro Suzuki, you can find them on eBay, the base card, for about $30. And as you can see, there haven't been many graded, and Ichiro's huge. If you don't know, like, Ichiro has a huge fan base, not only in America but also overseas. He was an amazing player, played for over 20 years, or not over 20 years, but he played for like 18. He just retired. I think 2018 he retired. And so he has a huge fan base here. He has a huge fan base in Japan. He's always been a highly collectible player. But it just so happens that this set is very hard to get in a good condition, for a couple reasons. It's really, like, it's a dark bordered card. It has these dark green borders, and they show wear really bad. But anyways, also I think it's just low production number overall. 2001 was kind of after the boom, and people had kind of drawn off of collecting. They were kind of turned off by all the hype in the 90s, and so the actual population of these cards is very low, as far as PSA is concerned. So, you know, in comparison, there are only 1,392 PSA 8s of this card. There's only 839s and only 123 10s. So, yeah, you can get this card for $30 raw right now, and you can get some pretty good examples of this card for $30 raw, $30 to $50. But in a PSA 10, this card's selling right now for around $1,400. This is the Home Team Advantage version that I'm opening today. This one sold for $1,640 with shipping. The regular base version, just because there aren't very many really. I mean, it's been selling for around $1,400 in a PSA 10, which I think, given there's only 123 of them, I think is reasonable. Like, that's a pretty fair price probably for today's market and everything. Like I said, the gold parallels are only numbered out of 2001 for the years 2001, and like raw, they're selling for $500. This is probably at least a $5,000 card, this gold parallel. In the gold parallels were inserted 1 in 14 packs. There's 36 packs in a hobby box. So you would normally get 2 to 3 gold parallels in a hobby box. And this was over a 700 card set. So I think Series 2 was 396 cards or something like that. You had 36 packs. I can't remember exactly, maybe 15 cards per pack. So you normally one of a card out of Series 2 out of a hobby box. So you would normally get one Ichiro Suzuki out of that card, number 726, out of that box. And then there would be 2 to 3 gold parallels out of 400. So, that's 150 to 200 hobby boxes you'd have to open to give yourself the regular odds of getting one of these Ichiro Suzuki gold parallels. So those sell for like 500. As you've seen down here, this Home Team Advantage PSA 10 sold for 1,600. I think that's super low, and I think it's just people have no idea what this is. And you don't even see the limited edition. You see the sets, and the sets are actually, I think, super cheap. The limited edition sets, they're selling for 200 to 300 right now. But like I said, the regular version, there's been 2,500 graded total and 123 10s, whereas the Home Team Advantage, there's been 98 total Ichiro Suzuki rookies graded out of this Home Team Advantage set, and there's only 10 that exist in a PSA 10. So I've found these sets, and I wanted to show them to you all. Let's see here. This is what the set looks like. So if you go online, you search 2001 Topps factory set, 2001 Topps baseball factory set, right? So there are two main types that you'll see, but like I said, there's like 5 different that you may come across. There's like a retail version that has like players' pictures on it. There's a gold version with a red label, which is the regular Topps full set. And then there's the gold version with the blue label that is the Home Team Advantage set. And like I'm showing here, like the population numbers are about 10% or less in the Home Team Advantage set than what they are in the regular set. So that being said, the regular sets with the regular Ichiro rookies are selling for about $75, somewhere in there. These are only selling for about $100 right now. And, my play here is Ichiro's probably going to, almost guaranteed to be a first ballot Hall of Famer in 2023, I think. And so it would be to try to get as many of these in good condition, get them graded, and then kind of hold out for that, see what happens when he goes in the Hall of Fame. But I really think that Home Team Advantage, just based on if it was understood and if there was more of a buzz around Ichiro, even though they go for pretty good money, I think if the regular card's $1,400, the Home Team Advantage version's not going to be 10 times, the same as population, but it should probably be around 3,000. I think they're undervalued, just going off that. Anyways, it's a play. It's a fairly inexpensive play considering that, you guaranteed to get a card out of here that sells raw for like 30 to 50 bucks. The one kicker is, and part of this video is about that, is that these cards can stick together. Not super bad, not like the chrome cards can, but they can have a problem sticking together, which can damage the surfaces of the card. So I have a really good method of unsticking or taking apart bricked cards, and it's very non-destructive. I can't find anyone else that uses this method. It's super simple. It works amazingly well, better than anything I've found. I found guys out there on forums and in videos that are recommending that you just take these bricks, these piles of stuck together cards, these bricks of cards, and just slam them flat on the desk, and that'll break them apart. Well, yeah, it'll break them apart, but it'll tear them up too. So the method that I use is the only method I know of that you could potentially get a PSA 10 graded example out of a stack of bricked cards. And regardless of what the condition of these are, when we get into them here in just a second, I've already set it up. I've already got a brick of cards in the freezer. Hint, hint. Getting ready. And I'll go through that with you. There's more to it than that, but I'll go through that with you all regardless of what the condition of these cards are. So, if you all, let's see, I'm going to go through the chat just real quick, and then I'll get into opening these up. And thank you all very much for being here. Everybody that's here, hi to everyone. Hi Bonnie, hi Michael, hi Nathan, hi Jesse. And there was someone else that was here, but I was like tossed up between two different streams, and I don't know if he made it back or not. But anyways, Pujols Rookie is not in this set. So that's an interesting one too. So in the Topps set, Pujols was not in the Topps set. And then Pujols was in the Topps Chrome set and the Topps Traded set. In Topps Chrome, and Topps Traded and Topps Chrome were packaged together. So like if you bought, and I'm going to make sure I'm telling you this right, but if you bought a box, like a hobby box of Topps Traded, there would be like, I think, and let me look this up. Topps Traded. Let me get over to display here. If you bought, so like a pack would come with some Topps Traded cards and some Topps Chrome cards. I think. I might be wrong about that. There might have been Topps Traded and Topps Traded Chrome and Topps Chrome box. So Topps Traded Chrome, Topps Traded and Rookies. That's where the main Pujols is in the Topps Traded. But then they added an Ichiro. Well, there's the Pujols Ichiro combined card, the combo card. But then they also added this same photo of the Ichiro card to the Topps Chrome set. Let me see. Yeah, two Topps Chrome cards in every pack. So at least in the traded version, Chrome and the regular set were packaged together. You couldn't just buy a box of Chrome cards. You couldn't just buy a box of regular traded cards. And then the regular Topps Chrome, hold on. But it's really interesting because these two great players came out of this rookie class, and the fact that they're kind of the only two that were switched back and forth. And of course, they knew that both of these guys had a lot of potential going in, but it's kind of interesting that both of them are Hall of Fame players, and they had this kind of back and forth with their rookie cards where one was in one and the other was in the other, and it's kind of interesting. So I guess there is just a regular Topps Chrome. And I think that one does have the Pujols in it. The regular Pujols card. So this set costs $100 right now. It's going for about $100. So yeah, no, that's the Topps Traded Chrome. Okay, 2006 Topps Chrome Pujols. Topps Chrome Late Edition. Yeah, I think that's right. That he was added to that set late. And you can always look at the tops here. So yeah, 2001 Topps Chrome, number 596, Albert Pujols. So if you look at the top of these PSA labels, they will tell you like exactly what this card is. So this is late. It actually says late edition on it. All right, so I don't know exactly in the parlance of like baseball card companies what late edition means necessarily in them putting that on there. I don't know if there are maybe fewer of these cards or, if they just put that on there for marketing stuff. Because it can be in some circumstances where a player's card isn't actually added to the set until printing has already began, and they can be shorter print runs of that card specifically. That's happened in the past. Yeah, about $100. The regular versions are selling right now for about 70, 75. And that's awesome. And I think that's pretty good considering, it's the Ichiro and a PSA 10 is going for about 20 times that. So if you're careful as far as like getting them out, taking the cards out and everything, I think you could expect to get a PSA 10 out of 20 unopened sets. It's probably a pretty good return. The reason I go for these home team advantage is just because the population's a lot lower. So there are some cards in here that in the other set aren't necessarily profitable as far as a grading standpoint right now. But in this set, because of the lower population numbers, they are. So like the Ken Griffey Jr., Cal Ripken, Tony Gwynn, Ricky Henderson. Out of this set, the HTA set, if you were to grade those, you're going to get a good return if they come back a PSA 10. They're $60 to $100, somewhere in there. I don't know exactly because I don't focus on them as much. The main thing that I look at here is that Ichiro Rookie, because that's the one that I look at as, within the next few years really has that strong return potential. So let's, I'm going to switch back over to the overhead cam here, drink a little bit of coffee, and I'm going to open this up and see what it looks like. We'll just see. Like I said, these can have issues with sticking together, and so there is a little bit of risk here, and I do think that factory set boxes don't protect cards as well long term as like unopened packs. I think you have a better chance of pulling a little better chance of pulling like the really high grade cards out of an unopened box, especially an unopened box when it comes to vintage. An unopened box out of a sealed case, you'll see a lot of times where you can get a box for a certain amount, but an unopened box out of a sealed case can go for a lot more, and that's just because there's a better chance that they're in a lot better condition if they came out of a sealed case, as opposed to just being set around in a box for the last 30 years, moving with people, getting banged around and stuff like that. The Topps Chrome cards on those sets have issues with sticking together. I would imagine they do. Most of the Chrome cards that are that old have issues with sticking together. And I don't actually know. I haven't used this method on Chrome cards. I don't know how well it works. I know it is tough. And so this set has a little bit, it's like it was dropped or something on this end, but I'm pretty sure that the Ichiro would be on that end of the set. So I wasn't too worried about that. It's kind of a tester to see. Ooh! There's another thing about these sets. So the regular top set come with 5 cards that are rookie reprint cards out of a 20 card set. So 5 out of those 20 cards you'll get as rookie reprint cards. They're the player's rookie card in the same design as when it was manufactured. So like there's Ricky Henderson in there. And it has the same design as his, 1980 Topps rookie card, but it's a reprint. But these reprints are fairly valuable in like high grade. This set has the gold reprints, so it has the same cards but in the gold. And I just noticed when I opened it up, there's a pretty good one on top here. So this one is the, like I said, there's a 5-card pack of these. So it's got the gold bordered Derek Jeter. So like I said, there's 2 different versions of this, of these rookie reprints. And yeah, I'm totally teasing you. I'm trolling you so hard, man. But there's two different versions of these rookie reprints, and the Derek Jeter's on top here. That's a really good sign. Let's see what's on the back. I'm gonna tease y'all a little more. Sammy Sosa. The Sammy Sosa's on the back. So again, with the short print numbers of these sets, I think that there's a good chance that these can carry some pretty good value. Even these rookie reprints. Now this Derek Jeter, and even in this, like, it's pretty off center, left to right. I mean, otherwise it's just a miraculous, really, really good condition. I'm not gonna open this right away, I don't think, unless y'all just really, really want me to. I might. I don't know. We'll see. But anyways, this here is what we want to get into. So obviously we had the ding on the corner there over here, and so these cards are probably gonna be a little bit dinged up, and I'm hoping that is the front end of the box. So I'm just gonna turn them up. Try to be careful about how I get these out of here. So far, what? Oh, these aren't ordered. Oh my gosh, we're in a lot bigger deal than we were. So these are a little stuck together, but not to the point to where it would get damaged them. Oh, these aren't in an order. Why would they do that to us? Why would they send you an entire set and not order them, not collate them? Okay, so this stream just got a lot longer. I'm going to have to go through every one of these cards to try to find that and kind of unstick them. But anyways, yeah, this is the difference. So that's, if it'll zoom in here, that's the home team advantage logo. Okay? And these are quite a bit less, quite a bit more rare than the regular cards. There it is. That's it. That's it. Oh, and it's centered. Awesome. Ooh. Oh my gosh. That was so quick. There was no build up to that. I didn't get to tease you all at all. It does have a little bit of a ding corner though. Not even joking. It does have a little bit of a ding corner. Just a little bit. It's like a barely little bit. Oh my gosh, that card's so cool. Just a little bit. Dang. That sucks. The centering's perfect on it. And just like, they're not stuck together. It's just kind of like almost a pristine card. I wonder how much they ding me for that. That's going in to get graded, regardless. Even the PSA 8s in the regular set sell for around $60. So, yeah. And even with that little ding, like, I would say that's the lowest grade they would give would be an 8 on this card. Just because everything else is just so... Dang. That card would be a 10 without that. The surface is perfect on it. Everything else. Alright, so at first, I thought this stream was going to get a lot longer, and then it turned out getting quite a bit shorter. So, there's still some other cards that I want to find in here. So, Michael, Topps was famous for not ordering their factory sets. When I was a kid, I remember organizing factory sets of 1980s Topps. Yeah, I know. And I was opening some other, I think it was some 1990 Score. a while back, because those are the only place you can get the Bo Jackson baseball football cards out of, is the factory sets of 1990 score. But yeah, that's a super annoying thing. That just, like, why would you, I guess it's just way easier for them because the cards come off uncollated off the line, so they come off, I guess they come off in sets, but they don't come off, they don't come off in order. But they print sheets and then, they come out, so they don't take the time to order them or anything. Yeah, that card's in. Maybe they'll miss that. Maybe they'll miss that. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I think, even though, we saw that last one that went for about $1,600, I think based on the population of these, there's only 10 that exist in a parallel where the base card, goes for $1,400. They should really, really be quite a bit more than that. They should really probably be around $3,000. And what you see, and I know population's like my favorite word, but there is a reason for that, is because the farther back you go, like there's a point when population becomes everything, basically. So right now we're in the 80s and it's starting to move up to the 90s, to where all the awareness about all the cards is there. And so, when you go back into the 80s, it's the Fleer Update cards, it's the Topps Tiffany cards, it's the cards that really nobody knew or cared about at all, until the last couple of years, 2 or 3 years. Topps Tiffany has like skyrocketed in value in last couple of years. Because it's just weird. At a certain point, people start paying attention to population numbers. And so, like, for more modern cards, the only ones that people really pay attention to are, like, the 1 of 1s or the 1 of 5s or something like that. You'll even see, like, certain cards that there might be 10 times more of a card, and the parallel's going for the same money as the card is. Yeah, so there's our home team advantage with this gold stamp there. Yeah, I'm pretty psyched about that. So that's, $100 for that card. I could probably sell raw right now for $50. But in a PSA 9, these are selling for $200 right now. So, is that a 9? I don't know. I would hope so, but maybe not. The centering's perfect. And you really, when it comes to PSA, eye appeal, they really go off eye appeal. That's their big thing. And so this card has an excellent eye appeal. It does have a slight corner ding, just a really slight corner ding, and that can take off some big points. But we'll just see. But like I say, it's $100 set, and some of this stuff you look at, what, I will pay that even if maybe the immediate return in the raw cards isn't there. You look at all of these guys, these main guys in this set are all in the Hall of Fame or will be very soon. And with these being a kind of a shorter numbered set, that the values, this is the cheapest I'll probably ever be able to get this set. For the most part, it's going to go up from here. Hold on just a second. But yeah, so it's always, at some point, whether it's people start paying attention to population. So like there's basketball sets right now, those Icy Bear sets, I think that's what they're called, that they're from the 70s. Nobody cared about them like 2 years ago. And then people noticed them. They got awareness of them, and they're like, started taking off like everything else, So at a certain point, population does become a huge factor. And that's kind of what I love about these. It's just the fact that there's really not much markup on these sets as far as the complete set. But when you look at, the markup on the individual cards, like I think the Ken Griffey Jr. in this goes for like around $100. I think the Cal Ripken and the Tony Gwynn can go for 60 or something. It just depends. They don't come up that often. There's not a lot of sales. But then the Rickey Henderson. Rickey Henderson's an amazing player. And like if you've never looked at the YouTube channel Secret Base, it's called Secret Base. And they do all these like really in-depth charts videos and about sports. And they've got one on Rickey Henderson that is just ridiculous. Just about how, for like three years in a row, he stole 100 bases and had 100 runs or something like that. And nobody had ever come close to doing that ever. They just had like some ridiculous statistics on him and Barry Bonds. I've learned a lot from that channel. Like about how good, if you look up OPS, which OPS is generally considered, what you look at for how good a hitter is. Barry Bonds has three out of the top 4 ever best OPS seasons. So in the early 2000s, his OPS was like 1450, I think, at one point in time, which was like double the major league average, and just a ridiculous number, and the best ever, And Babe Ruth has like 6 out of the top 12, but Barry Bonds has 3 out of the top 4, and like 4 out of the top 10 best OPS seasons ever. Definitely some juice thrown in there, but I don't think there's a Rickey Henderson golden moments. I'm gonna pull that out. I don't really think that the there's a little echo. Let me turn just the mic aux down a little bit. Maybe that'll help. I don't know. But yeah, I don't remember where I was at in my spiel. But yeah, it just goes about like how much better Rickey Henderson was in the things that he was good at than everyone else on the baseball field. I remember, when I was younger, like in the 90s, Rickey Henderson was, a great player, but I guess because he wasn't, hitting 500-foot home runs, I don't, at least between me and my friends, he wasn't looked at as like that player that you're hoping to find when you're opening product. And now it's funny, like it feels like one day I woke up and suddenly Rickey Henderson was a hugely collectible player, and for good reason, but it's just interesting to me. I'm going to finish, go through. These are actually stuck together maybe to the point where I need to do something with them. Yeah, these are starting to lose some surface. The surface is starting to come off whenever I'm pulling them apart. So I'm going to set these to the side, and then I'll break out the cards that I had set away and show y'all what I do to get these apart. And like I said, there's several methods if you go on the internet, there's several methods that people advise when it comes to breaking these stuck cards apart, these brick cards apart. Like I said, some of them that is just slam them down on the table, and then one of them that seems to have gained traction is like hold them by the opposite corners and twist them and freeze them overnight. That's not necessarily a good idea because it can warp. They can warp from that much time in a freezer. A lot of people say don't freeze them at all because it introduces moisture, which it doesn't. Like, that's not true. And a cold environment, if the temperature is below freezing, any moisture that's available is going to freeze. So a cold environment is by nature a dry environment. The only time you can introduce moisture is like if you take them out and it's really humid where you're at, then they'll like soak up moisture. But I'm going to go get those and I'll bring them back and I'll show you what I do with these cards whenever they're stuck together. And yeah, it works really well, and it's got kind of like a cool effect to it. And take my mic off here. Hey, type in the chat. Let me know if y'all are still hearing that echo. All right. So these are some regular 2001 Topps baseball that were stuck together. And so what I did is I took them, they're already starting to come apart. What I do is I'll take them and I'll put them in the freezer for about an hour to 2 hours. All right. And then I take them out and see how they are. So these are already, like, just by the picking them up, are already starting to come apart. And you'll notice that, like, you might be able to notice, there's like no surface damage to that card, and no surface damage to the back of the card that it was stuck to. Same with these. There's no damage from them just coming apart, and what you have is lowered it just now. And you started talking, it went away. Yeah, it's good now. Okay, great. Thanks, Jesse. It's just expansion and contraction. So stuff gets cold, it contracts. Stuff gets warm, it expands. It's science, So I will put them in a freezer for about an hour to an hour and a half. And then I take them out, and I've got my handy dandy blow dryer here. And you just take them, and I'm going to set this on low. You don't have to, but it's kind of hot. Like it'll hurt your hand. And I'm kind of a wuss, so I don't want that. But anyways, yeah, you can leave it on high or whatever. You really don't leave it on there long enough to hurt anything, so it's not that big a deal. But let me get this plugged in, and I'll show you. This is pretty cool what it does whenever you add some heat to it. Alright, so I've got this brick of cards. It's cold. It's been in the freezer for about an hour to an hour and a half. And I'm just going to take my blow dryer and put it on low, and I'm going to start adding some heat to it. I've got a paper towel here. And you'll see, as I add, you'll see the corners start to come up on it. It'll start to release. You see that coming up? Just from the expansion and the contraction, the card will start to pull away. It's getting warmer and the cards under it aren't as much. So it'll start to pull away from the cards underneath it. And then it should be able to, it's still stuck together a little bit. Let's see. Okay. So I did have to pull a little bit to get that off of there. But a little bit normally doesn't hurt them. So like, let me see. There are a couple flecks on there. But this is the best way I know of, and a lot of the time, like it won't damage them at all. That one, there was a couple surface flecks. I don't know if maybe I didn't have them in the freezer for long enough. It's definitely not an exact science here. This one's already starting to pull away in the middle. And it does take a while. So definitely don't want to go through doing this to a bunch of cheap cards, but because it's just not worth it. But I wish, normally if the cards are put in an order, then you can kind of isolate the cards that you're looking for, and you can kind of save yourself some time by not worrying about all of them and just focusing on those cards that are potentially valuable. So, having pretty good luck here. Very, very little damage, if any, to these cards. And that's the technique that I use. So, I'm going to be making a video just specifically about this because, like most of my YouTube adventures, I'm motivated by going out there and not being able to find the information that I want. So, like when looking at different methods of how to unstick cards, I was just kind of completely irritated at how bad the information was out there, and was like, well, I need to make a video on this, like, because this is way better. So, yeah, if you turn that up, you'll see how these cards have already started to separate, and that's just expansion and contraction. They're already pulling away from each other. And it doesn't damage the cards. Like, they're not warped. There's nothing wrong with them. They're in perfectly good condition. I don't know what would happen with this if you tried it on chrome cards, because I've never tried it on chrome cards. But I know on these paper stock, kind of glossy paper stock cards, it works really well. What time do you all think is best to stream at? I've been wondering that lately. Like, if I'm going to stream, because I know, like, right now, on Sundays, there's a lot of people watching football. And I don't have enough data on my channel yet to figure out, like, if I do a bunch of streams, like, when the most people are watching or anything like that. And I won't have that kind of data, that kind of sample size for a long time, probably. So, I was kind of wondering what you all thought about, like, through the week. Like, I started this at 7. I thought that was probably a pretty good time. Maybe later would be better. I don't know. Because it's like 7 o'clock. I'm in Central Time, so 7 o'clock here would be 5 o'clock on the West Coast, which means people have like just got home and are getting ready to eat dinner. So I don't know. Maybe 8 or 9 is better through the week, and then like, I don't know on the weekends. I like 1:30 or 2 here, because then it's like noon on the West Coast and 4 o'clock on the East Coast. But I don't know. I'm trying to see if maybe I can't figure out what these cards are in here without opening them. Because I know this Derek Jeter's like way off center. Jesse, haha, today there's sports con, so today's stream was bad for me. But in general, 5 to 6 p.m. West Coast works for me. Yeah, what do you think of the sports con? What do you think of that? I know I saw a little bit of it last night. He had like Andre Dawson on there and some gal from eBay, and I don't really know a lot about it, but I mean it's very like good production value. I mean the sports card channel world on eBay or on YouTube is pretty small, and so like they really do it up, and it's interesting to me. Yeah, Bonnie, yeah, it's good after 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Like anytime after basically 6 o'clock Central. I don't want to do it any earlier than that, because then it's like 3 o'clock on the East Coast. If I do it at 5, it's like 3 o'clock on the West Coast. It's like 3 o'clock. Jesse, you had a lot of good guests. The eBay lady was talking about implementing a policy to ship cards under $20 with UPS first class for less than $1. Yeah, I saw that and I already knew about that. That they were potentially going to do that. So it's 75 cents for up to 3 cards, I think. And I don't know if it's individual cards with less than a $20 value or all 3 cards have to have less than a $20 value. But I did notice, I was watching that point specifically that you're talking about last night. I had flipped to it and was watching that. And she said that includes graded cards. But I don't think it does. Maybe, no, I don't believe that. Like, I think she misspoke there. Maybe it does, but I was under the assumption that this was like a label for what most people would use plain white envelope for. So you're not going to put a graded card in that type of envelope, and even if you do, it's going to like bulge. And so everything I had read up to that point was basically ruling out graded cards. Now she said on there that it included graded cards. So, I mean, you got to kind of say, okay, well, I guess it does. Graded cards under a $20 value, which there are plenty of them out there. But I kind of feel like maybe she misspoke, because everything else I had seen up to that point had ruled that out. Right now he's having a discussion with the Panini exec about demand and being able to control demand and not over printing. Oh, wow. That's really interesting. I think that's a tough one. I think that's a really tough one. I think now in the modern cards, population, it doesn't matter anymore. Well, it does, but at least in the last couple years, it hasn't mattered that they didn't print as much as they did in the 1990s, because everything was getting sent straight to PSA to get graded. So in the modern era, your population basically consists of PSA 9s and 10s and BGS 9s, 9.5s, and 10s. That's your population. It doesn't matter how many they print. It just matters how many of them are gradable, basically, nowadays. It does matter, but, we're seeing, the last couple of years in basketball, just in Prism, Trae Young, Luka, Zion, and Ja, all at least are very close to, all of them are close to, if not being, the highest population count PSA 10 cards in existence. So, and that's not a stretch. As far as I know, Luka and Zion are the highest population of PSA 10s in existence. So, we're in kind of a weird spot where I don't think that they can bring production down enough to where those cards, modern cards, ever come close to the rarity, to the scarcity of, what we saw prior to 2015. They're coming out with Chrome X, Bowman Chrome X, which is a partnership with StockX. Those are only numbered to 31, I think, and they're graded. They come graded. So they're trying to create scarcity. This is something that I see that I'm not going to say, it doesn't scare me, but a lot of stuff nowadays is kind of gimmicky. And so we're trying to create the illusion of scarcity. And if you look at Beanie Babies are a perfect example. Perfect example because that's exactly what Ty Warner did with Beanie Babies. He specifically tried to create the illusion of scarcity. All right? So if you look at Beanie Baby collectors, there never were really very many Beanie Baby collectors. There were people who thought that Beanie Babies would be worth a lot of money one day. So there were Beanie Baby investors. And now, since there never were collectors, now Beanie Babies aren't worth. Once people realized that they were overly populated, and once the fad wore off, demand started to go down. There's suddenly there's millions of them out in the world, and there's not very many people that actually want them because there's no collectors. Then now they're virtually worthless. They're not worthless. They do have some value, and they can be sold on eBay and shipped for profit, but they have a very low value, and only a select few that were ever made have any significant value, and not much. You go on eBay and you see the sales for $20,000, that is a lie. As Maury Povich would say, that is a lie. And so anyways, I find it interesting the times that we live in, because we're kind of getting to that point where right now in the market, I don't think there's a lot of people out there that are buying these cards as collectors because they because they like the card or because they like the player. Now that's part of it, and especially with the young people, there's definitely young people that want or have the money, if they have the money to, are buying some of these cards because they're interested in the player and because they like the card and the player. But I think for the most part nowadays, in the last year, I say nowadays, it's like in the last 6 months, in the last year, it's become this thing where it's trendy and like popular for people to invest in sports cards, but without that direct tie to being a collector or that tie to people actually wanting the cards outside of their monetary value, outside of just being in a portfolio. I think that could lead to a collapse down the road where, you know, if the prices start to drop, what catches them? Like, there's not people that just want them for themselves. They want them because of their potential to make money. So once the market starts to go back down again, and we have these huge populations of PSA 10 cards, then, you know, I could see there being a big issue there. You have no idea the arguments I get in about this. I'm arguing, like, people get offended when I say that. They get mad. People get mad when I say that. And it's like, I'm not trying to pick a fight with anyone, but it's like, this is the facts. Like, people get mad because they've stuck a lot of money in some of these cards, and they don't want to hear that. They only want to hear good news, and that's what they hear from a lot of people. But I'm not sold on that one in any way, shape, or form. I do not believe that what I see constitutes as necessarily a good investment. Now, it can be great for short-term flipping and year-to-year type stuff, but I really do think there could be a problem with there not being demand for the actual player or product. It's a demand for what it represents as an investment. So, Jesse, now that I'm discussing, graded cards don't make sense, but you never know. You never know. You never know, and that's, one thing a guy tried to say the other day is you don't know what's going to happen 20 years down the road. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know if there are 1,000 of something as opposed to 20,000 of something, of a player that's in the same demand, the 1,000 are going to be worth a lot more. People are going to be willing to pay a lot more because the supply's low. You don't have to have as much demand. The 1,000 are going to be worth a lot more than the 20,000. I mean, that's just, who knows? Maybe it'll go against everything we know about economics up to this point in time, and there's a chance to do that, but I doubt it. I kind of doubt it. The card market and the stock market are very different in the fact that there is no underlying value to a card. Like, there's no underlying value in a stock. That stock has a real value. That company has a real value. And, when I was working in this, when I look at stocks, the main thing that I look at is what's a company worth dead. If a company's stock is selling for $1 a share, and if that company was to go under tomorrow and liquidate all of their assets, their buildings, their equipment, their trademarks, their intellectual property, what would they be? Well, what's a fair market value of what they'd be able to liquidate that for? Well, if there were 75 cents per share dead, and their shares selling for $1, they don't have to make a lot in earnings to come up with that extra. That's a pretty good value. But with a card, there's no underlying value. There's no earnings there to look at. It's all based on popularity and demand, supply and demand, and so I don't know. People, Jesse, I wish people would value population more, or at least consider it. My brother was looking at some Select Luka cards, and the PSA 10 pop compared to Prism was 1.1K to 14.1K. Yep. Select is, I think, and I do buy modern basketball. I do buy modern basketball. I like Select, from what I've been looking at lately, is Select the middle level Select, so Select Premier level. Because on the pop reports, from what I can tell, there's almost as many courtside that are graded as Premier level, which I find odd, and it's kind of hard to believe, but that's what I've been seeing. So the Premier level are a lot better buy if there's the same population. And everything does eventually, like, supply and demand is kind of a law. It's like a law of economics and financial markets. And everything does eventually come down to supply and demand. It does come down to desire, like people, demand. Like people have to want that product. So right now, they want Prism way more than they do Select. I still say that could change because Select was the premium product 5 years ago, the one that people wanted, and then that changed over to Prism, and that changed, kind of, they got a real foothold, they really took control of that number one spot in 2018, but that could very easily switch back, and all you would need is one year where the rookie card, where people wanted Select more than they did Prism, right? And I think that's in Panini's best interest, is to create that, because right now the production numbers have been drastically a lot lower, almost oddly lower in Select than they have been in Prism. I don't think Select has a retail format, so they don't release at Walmarts and Targets and stuff. I don't think. But they've been a lot lower. So I think there's a vested interest in their from Panini, where if they were to create what they've created with Prism, if they were to take that at some point in the future and create that with Select, just by making the Select LaMelo Ball rookie card the one that everybody wants, then suddenly not only are they selling a ridiculous amount of Prism, but now they're also can also print and sell a ridiculous amount of Select too. So I think if that happens, which I think there's definitely a possibility for that, if you're holding the Select stuff from now, just like the Prism stuff from prior to 2017, then you're going to be in a lot better place, Random question. I started looking at Select and realizers like a tier list or levels. What are they, and what's order and rarity? Yep. So there's concourse level, which is 1 to 100. So like number 36. Like who was I looking at? I was looking at somebody the other day. So number 36, they have 3 different cards in the set. So number 36 would be their concourse level card. And there's more of those. They're more popular. And then the next would be like 136. And that would be their premier level card. And those are more rare. And then courtside would be like 236. That's their courtside card. And those are supposed to be the most rare. But like I said, I've been looking at them more. And it's been very, at least in the older stuff, like the 2015, 2016, 2014 stuff, it's weird because it seems like these are popular players. Let's look up Ben Simmons right now. I want to look up his Select rookie cards because I think I haven't looked him up yet, and I've been wanting to. I can't remember what his rookie year is. I think it's 2015. Let's just go to eBay. I think it's 2015. Mountain Genetics. I'm always down for card chat. Or, yeah. What happened to card collection chat? What's happening in Mountain Genetics? I saw you last night on Boris. Was it Personal Finance Dad and Boris? And no, it was Vegas. Vegas. Was it Vegas and Personal? Yeah, it was Personal Finance Dad in Vegas. I saw you in their chat last night. I think. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. So, shout out. What's up? Let's see. Ben Simmons. I want to look into this more because I find it really interesting. Because some of the ones I've looked at, like Brandon Ingram, like his rookie select Premier, there's not a big difference in population, PSA 10 population between his Premier and his courtside, but his courtside sells for a lot more money. Yeah, 2016, so that's Ben Simmons and Brandon Ingram's rookie year. So, 20 come up here. Pop report, 2016 select. Yeah. Yeah, Jesse, people are looking at the card market as an investment vehicle, which is not a bad thing, but when there's no demand for the actual players or cards themselves, then if and when, I mean, it's just a matter of when the market starts going down, at least for this newer stuff that's in high population, then who's going to buy it? You know, if you see a downward trend line, and you got to be careful with trend lines. So when you're looking at charts, I mean, I know it's easy, like it makes for a good graphic on a YouTube video, but it's a trend line that goes like this, and then goes like this, or goes like this, and then goes like this. Okay, so it goes up for a while, then it goes down, and then it goes up a little bit. You know, so they'll say the trend line is going up because it went up so much, and then it went down and went up a little bit, so the trend line's going up. But if you take that 3 months where it went up big, and you take that off and just start from where it started going down, well, now the trend line's suddenly going way down way quick. So it's become this thing where it's like day trading or stock market investing, and that's not. I'm not saying it can't become that, but it can't become that because there's no inherent value. There's no real value behind a trading card. You know, like I said, there's no earnings. There's it's a fiat currency. The American money's not backed by gold anymore. It has no value. So anyways, but yeah, like it is only worth what the market says it's worth. So, but you've got a lot of people right now that have only been in the market for the last couple of years, or the last 3 years. It's been going up constantly. The whole time they've been in the market, that's all they know. And that's fine. But, I try to give props out to guys like my man Matt over at PSA Collector, like that guy. He will always preface, like he just did a new video on top 5 rookies. I follow him on I subscribed to him on Patreon. So I don't know if that video is actually out. I don't think it is, but he's going to be releasing a video on it's like top 5 NBA rookie picks or like new player picks. And he will always preface stuff with like this is not financial advice. This is just for fun. Like be very careful, diversify whenever you're making these purchases. You don't want to get stuck with a bunch of money in the same guy because then if something happens, then you end up losing a lot of money. And I really respect that. And those are the guys that I really try to, the guys that I think are going to be really important for this hobby in helping people make good decisions, because there's a lot of people out there making, if you look like, pretty much on this channel, like all I follow is sports card videos, and you'll have 20 that are like, you should buy Trae Young right now. And plenty of people would say that, and maybe they don't necessarily mean it that way, but if you don't preface that with I'm buying Trae Young right now, but if he doesn't perform, his cards could tank, like
it sends the wrong message. And everybody's responsible for what they do with their own money. But you're not coming here for my entertainment value. I don't have a lot of entertainment value. And what I can try to do is do some research and try to share what I know about the card market. And what I know about the card market is it can be very fickle, and if you're not careful, you can lose a lot of money. That's what I know about the card market, so that's what I try to bring across. But yeah, for every one video that you find about like sound investing in sports cards, you find 50 that are about this card's going to $5,000. I just spent $20,000 on friggin' Luka cards. It's like that to me is not good advice. That is not, in my opinion. That is. Let's just the way I'm going to leave it there. That, in my opinion, is not good advice. Jesse, do you think that because Prism is so popular, people really look at other branches of Panini more, or do you think just Select will benefit? I don't know. I mean, so like if you go through the 90s, there was a ton of sets in the 90s, there was a ton of inserts, and honestly, like a lot of that stuff has held up. Like one of the most valuable cards in existence is a Michael Jordan insert from the 90s. Like not from his first couple of years. It's like 10, 12 years down the road. It's a Fleer Metal Ruby Gems or something like that. I was watching something on it the other day. But it's like a 1996 Fleer Metal or something like that insert that, they only made 5 of or something like that. And so in a PSA 10, it's, I don't know, $400,000 or something like that. So I don't think that it's necessarily, I don't think that, like, I've heard people say that Prism's everything right now, and that, these other brands, you might look back 10 years from now and they might not be worth anything. Well, no, like, I don't think that. Like, I think if that's the case, then Prism's not going to be worth anything either. I think that's possible just as much as anything. But they're for the most part, look at guys like Manny Ramirez, look at guys like Juan Gonzalez, look at guys like John Stockton, he's starting to pick up, but Karl Malone and, Tracy McGrady, and there's a lot of guys that have been great in sports, but they're not in that top 5 of their generation. And those guys that are in their top 5 of their generation, they're the ones that their cards are, at a huge premium. So right now, when you're looking at modern cards, like who's going to be worth something 10 years down the road? Well, if you look at those inserts from the 90s and those cards from the 90s and stuff like that, like, your Jordan's great at PSA 10. It really doesn't matter what card it is. If you could have a base 1995 Fleer Jordan from the 1990s, and if it's in a PSA 10, it's probably going to sell for $80 to $100 at least. Any of those cards. But 90, besides the rookies from that year and Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, from the last 30 years, who's going to be left? Like, who's going to be left? Like, is a like, just pick any player. Is their card, if they're not that top, over the course of a 15-year career, if they're not consistently in the top 5 players in the league, then, 10 years after they retire, even if they make the Hall of Fame, their rookie cards are still going to be worth money, but how much value is there in other cards from them? I don't know. We'll see, I guess, but They made a lot of cards in the 90s. They made a lot of inserts in the 90s. So they made a lot of different brands in the 90s. And there's still a lot of that's value regardless of what set it is. If it was a lower number insert, again, where population comes down to population at a certain point. So you've got cards that aren't necessarily that popular or may have been like a cheaper version. And oh crap, I haven't used my display the whole time. Anyways, yeah, 2016 Select Ben Simmons. But it started, even in the 90s, it's starting to come down to population. Isn't this? Yeah, this is Select. So, okay, yeah. They made a bunch of different prisms and stuff. All right, so 777 10s. All right, Ben Simmons, PSA 10s, in his concourse level, card number 60. Let me move this around a little bit so you can see it a little better. So, that's better. So, yeah, in his concourse level card, there's 770 PSA 10s. And you go down through here. Then you end up card 141. So I guess it's not card 160. But there's a 0, a 1 to 100 card, and then there's a 100 level card, and there's a 200 level card. So 141 is his premier level card. There's 279 of those in a PSA 10. And then card 251 is his courtside card, and there's 73 of those. So I guess this is a better format. Brandon Ingram might not have been the best case scenario for looking at, and maybe a lot of his cards weren't graded or haven't been graded up to this point as much. But a lot of Ben Simmons cards were graded early on. So, there's about 5 times more premier than there are courtside, and there's about 3 times more concourse than there are premier level. So that's how the Select breaks down. And then you'll also see that in football. I don't know if they still do it, but they used to have like a row 1, row 2, row 3 or something like that in football. I think there's still a set that does that. Let's see. Going back to chat, is this why you don't like market movers, since the trend lines can be deceiving? Who's that guy you talked about? What's his channel name again? PSA Collector. Yeah, I really like him. That's a guy I watch a lot. And he just went full-time. He just went to being a full-time YouTuber. So, yeah, definitely check him out. Also, final question. Final question? Are you leaving me, dude? Also, final question. So, you can get back to your stream. I've noticed that inserts aren't very popular when compared to base cards. Has that always been the case? Yeah, it kind of has. It kind of has. I would say inserts aren't as popular as rookie cards, but, I mean, they are and they aren't, like, depending on if it's a rookie parallel. Inserts, I know what you're saying. So you're saying, like, emergent. No, that hasn't always been the case. Like, when they first started coming out with inserts were, like, where it was at. For a little while. But they came out with so many inserts that people just got, like, overwhelmed by it. So, like, what's the value? For instance, like, what's the value of a 1 of 1 if there's 100 of them that were made that year by different brands and stuff like that? And, maybe not to that extent, but we definitely see that. There's, like, 20 or 30 brands that have a 1 of 1 of a certain player. So what's the value of that? So it's kind of like inserts. Like, yeah, they're more rare, but does it matter? Because everybody makes them. So what we're finding out from the 90s is apparently, yes, it does matter. Like, people are paying a premium for those inserts that are a lot harder to pull, especially in
like a high value. No, I don't, and it's not that I don't like market movers. I think market movers is a great tool, and tools like that. So you've got lots of tools out there that provide like better data for card pricing. It's not that I think it's a bad tool or I don't like it. It's that I don't think that your average collector, like, they don't need it. Like, even me, now it's getting to the point where I'm doing a lot more research. I'm probably going to have to invest in something like that, because going back and forth from eBay to PSA and all that stuff is getting to be, like, there's easier way to do it, and it's just spending a little bit of money. But market movers is not a little bit of money. It's $50 a month. And maybe that's a tiny amount of money to a lot of people. And I know it is. Like, that's not a lot of money to a lot of people. But, you know, your average investor or your average card collector, like, do you need that? Like, okay, if I go to prices here on PSA, all right, and I go to, no, APR. If I go to APR, auction realized values, and I look up Ben Simmons, 10s, all right, what the heck? Okay, and then I go to just this base one. Base Ben Simmons, select number 60, PSA 10. I filter that out. Now I think if I go down here, yeah, so here's your chart, all right? This is the same thing you'll find basically in an app like that. This goes back to 2017. Now I think they go back a little bit farther than that, maybe a lot farther than that. But as of right now, you don't really need to. But again, like for me, in researching videos and finding stuff to put in videos, like, it makes my life a lot easier to have something like that I don't have to do all this back and forth stuff. I can just put in the card number, and it'll give me a lot of information on a card number. And the same thing for, like, if you're a dealer, like, dealers, those, like, that's mainly who needs apps like that and programs like that, is like dealers that are pricing a lot of cards every day. As a collector, like, I don't need that as a collector. I need it as a YouTuber. Like, I need it to help me research stuff to make videos and to help out my community. Like, that's where I add value, is through the information that I can provide, whether it's information that I already know or if it's information that I can learn. Like, that's the value that I bring to my community. So an app like that could help me in that respect. Help me gain more information in a shorter amount of time, be able to bring more value to my community. So I definitely don't think that they're bad. I just think that your average collector it's not, you don't need that. Like, I think it's, people are kind of, you know, they think that they need that to collect sports cards. You don't. Like, and I think without a good understanding of where those numbers come from, then it's, you know, then it's probably, it can do a lot more harm than it can good, because a lot of people, you know, they hear all this stuff and they get into it and they buy the app and suddenly they're, you know, flippers. I'm a flipper. Well, you know, or whatever. Like, I'm, you know, that's kind of the cool thing right now, is to be this sports card flipper and, you know, short-term holder, and basically like a stockbroker, but with sports cards. You know, that's like a cool thing right now.
And it's just like most of those people are going to lose a lot of money doing that. I think and it's just kind of one of those other things. It's like, it kind of influences people in that direction, and I think that's kind of a bad direction to go in. But yeah, so your trend lines, okay, well, if you go from October 24th, 2019 to, August 13th, 2020, like your trend line is going to look like going at a 45-degree angle all the way up. Now, if you take it from 2019 to October 2022, then your trend line's like half of that. It's like a 22-degree angle. But if you take it from August 2020 and take it to the end of the year, and that's the only part of that chart you're looking at, well, your trend line's going down. So it's like, what it comes down to is, what does this chart tell you about what's going to happen with this card? Very, very little. Like, not much. It's not. It tells you a lot about what has happened to this card. And if you had a time machine and could go back to July of 2019 and buy this card for $20 in a PSA 10, then that would be awesome. But you can't. So what does it tell you about what this card's going to be worth 6 months from now? Very, very little, and it really, this doesn't matter at all. What matters is, does Ben Simmons come out this year and really put up good numbers, and how do people react to those numbers if he comes out and puts up good numbers, and if he doesn't get injured? That's what it comes down to. So, like, Michael Porter Jr., I'm from Missouri. I have watched Michael Porter Jr. play basketball in person at MU, and I have a little bit because he was injured the whole time he was in college. Like, I don't know how many games he played in college, but it wasn't very many. He was almost injured the whole time he was there, and then he comes out in his rookie year and he's got a back injury. A back injury for a guy that's 6'10" is a big deal. Like, that doesn't just go away. Like, if I'm 37 years old, and I started having back issues when I was 24. I'm 6'3", and the first time you have issues with your back is never the last time. Like, it doesn't go away. It doesn't become, There's a lot of guys that are big in the NBA and they go through their career and they never have issues with their back. But in my opinion, I wouldn't buy Michael Porter Jr. because he's been injured like 3 out of the last 4 years. And one of those main things is a back injury. Well, back injuries for a guy that are 6'10" are a lot bigger deal than a guy that's 5'5". So, it is what it is. Let's go. Love your channel. LG Reds fan. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I get off on a rant sometimes. I get off on a tirade. So if you enjoy that, then you'll love this channel. Ryan, is this on the PSA website? Yes, this is on the PSA website. And this is a little bit, it's, okay, so what you need to do, I'm going to go through it, because this is kind of harder to find. So you need to go to APR, this little gavel symbol with like a judge's gavel. You go to APR, you look up the specific card. So if I go to APR, and I'm on all these Ben Simmons cards. So if I go back, you go to APR, you go to the set, and you can go straight from population of the set you're looking at to the APR of the set you're looking at. Then I go over here, and I'll look up Brandon Ingram. So here's Brandon Ingram. This is his number 91 concourse level card. So if I go to that card, and then up here is your grades. So there's a PSA 6, I guess. There's some 8s, 9s, and 10s, and that's it. All right, so if I click on, now if I go down here right now, it doesn't show me the chart. It only shows you the chart if you specify a grade. So once I go to PSA 10, it's going to show me all these PSA 10s that have sold. And some of them are actually labeled wrong. Like, one of them might be in there, it might be a silver, and there might be a sale for like 3 times what normally they're going for. But for the most part, PSA is pretty good, and they have like a whole staff that takes care of this recording of the sales of their cards and stuff. So if I put in that selector of just PSA 10s, then now when I go to the bottom, here's your chart of select concourse level PSA 10s of Brandon Ingram. And they have been going up steadily since January of 2020. But so has everything else. Like everything. All right. In January 2020 or December 2022, you can buy PSA 10 Select Brandon Ingram for $6. December of 2019, December 22nd. But, this card's been going up. That doesn't mean as much right now as it would have in a regular year. Like in a regular year, if you saw this, oh my gosh, that guy just set the world on fire. That's like LeBron, Giannis level. But in this year, this is, for the most part, what the market has done. There we see July 31st where, basketball is just starting back into the bubble. It starts back and people maybe don't perform as well as the hype, which is almost always the case. Like, you can't hardly perform. Like, what can Luka do to live up to the hype this year? What can Trae Young do that they haven't done to live up to the hype? I mean, I don't even know. But I'm sure that they probably will at some point. But usually a season starts, like, people are underwhelmed by what they see, and then it goes down and going back up again. So this is, let's see, wait a second here. That's just through, there's 3 pages? Oh, that's weird. But anyways, yeah, it goes back down, it goes back up. So it's pretty much a trend of what has happened in the basketball card market this year, more than, a trend of what has happened with Brandon Ingram cards. And, for the most part, that's what you're going to see. You know what would be really interesting to look up? Let's go. Let's see, Ryan. My PSA website never loads to that page. It always just loads. Help. Spins without going to the next step. Well, if you're looking up 2018 or 2019 Prism, then especially on your phone, like I can't get those sets to come up on my phone. I have to go to my desktop. And I have a really strong internet connection. And so it loads pretty well for me. But yeah, I absolutely cannot get there's so much information in those sets. Like, there's been so many of them graded that when this website goes to pull up that information, it takes quite a while for, like, their computers to actually put it in front of you. And even on my computer, it takes a second. Now if you go to 2016 Select, it doesn't take long. But you do have to go to, so like if you go to Pop Report, so let's start over. Go to Pop Report. So you start off, let's put in 2014 Panini Prism. All right, so I'm going to search for that set. There's baseball, football, basketball. I'm going to go to basketball 2014 Panini Prism, and then that's going to load. All right, so within 2014 Panini Prism, there's been 8,000 cards graded. Not a lot, but it was a pretty soft rookie year. But these are all the cards that are graded 2014. 5,400 out of that 8,000 were 10, so over a 60% gem rate on those. The cards submitted ended up with a 10. That was Joel Embiid's rookie year. So we look up Joel Embiid. He's got 981 PSA 10s from that year. All right, so I'm drilling down, and here's Joel Embiid. But what I want to do here is once I get, say I'm on Pop Report, I want to go to APR. And then once I go to APR, it's going to bring back 2014 Panini Prism, but it's going to bring back all of them, right? So I can go through here and find the one I want, or I can just type in I want Joel Embiid. None of these pages will have will have charts on them. But if I go to APR and I go to the specific card that I want for this set, it'll tell me there's 772 sales on record, totaling $87,862 in value. Now, their sales are a couple weeks behind, so don't expect anything for the last couple days, or a couple weeks, I guess. But then you'll see, even when I go to there, there's still no chart there. But if I specify a grade, let's look at the PSA 9s. If I specify a grade and I go down here, there'll be a chart here, right? So that's that. I don't know if that has anything to do with what you're experiencing. You said it's just loads and loads and loads. And yeah, that's what I've experienced anyways. Is if I'm trying to pull up 2018 or 2019 Prism, I absolutely cannot do it on my phone. It's not happening. On my PC I can, but not on my phone. Does it work for Chrome? Yeah, it should work with any internet browser. I mean, it's a standalone website, so yeah, it should. It's a lot of info, that's why it takes so long. Bonnie, we're assuming Zion Williamson would be the same story because all of his injuries in college. I was thinking the same on 2 cards. Maybe. I think Zion, yeah. The main thing is Michael Porter Jr.'s was back. The back injury is what throws me. I don't remember what all Zion's injuries were. I know we can talk about. I would like to talk about Zion. There is something I was wanting to go over about Zion. So Zion had a knee injury, which isn't the worst thing in the world necessarily. Like Kevin Durant's Achilles is a bigger of a deal than a knee injury normally. Joe Burrow's knee injury is a little bit different because his leg literally came out of its knee socket. But yeah, my thing with why I wouldn't buy Michael Porter Jr. is because he had a back injury, 6'10". I don't see that going away. So, that I think a lot of the guys that know what they're doing, that are buying Michael Porter Jr. right now, are planning on hoping that he comes out, has a big game like he did early on, where he scores 35 points, and then they're going to sell. That's because they're not dumb. Not that a person would be dumb going forward if they was holding in, planning on doing well or whatever. But you take your wins when you can get them. That's more of what I meant there. But I think that's, from what I've heard, that's what a lot of people are doing, is he has that potential of having a big game with a good team. And if he comes out and does that, then over the next couple of days, you can sell his cards for a pretty considerable profit compared to what you can buy them for in the off season. Yeah, I don't know. Tua's got a really good passer rating, Bonnie. He's got a really good rating. I was surprised by that too. It never loads. Ryan says it never loads the 2014 Prism site. I don't know about that. I find that odd because there weren't a lot of cards. There's not a lot of cards graded in that year. So I don't know about that. Yeah, I want to look at Zion's stats in general because I think there's something here that might be interesting. Yeah, so Zion did pretty good this year. Over 24 games that he played, 22.5 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. He didn't get, I don't think, as many minutes as he wanted, 27, but he got 28 minutes a game. That's a dang good rookie year, 22 points a game. He's on a young team, which, that has something to do with it. The guy's super exciting to watch. 58.3
3% field goal percentage, which take into account a lot of those are dunks. It's easy to have a high field goal percentage if half your points are made off dunks. So he's got a 59%. He shot 43% from the 3-point line, but he only took about one every 2 games and made one every 3 games. Let's see. 64% from the free throw line. Oh my Lord. That's bad. That's really, really bad. That's like Shaq level bad. So, Zion's one where Zion has to stay healthy, but Zion also, his numbers, like Luka last year, had amazing statistics. Like he almost averaged a triple-double last year. He had like 29 points, 9 rebounds, and 8 assists or something like that in his second year. So for Zion to get the type of hype that Luka got this year, which I don't see that happening, but he would, and he's not going to have that type of assist. He's not a triple-double guy. But he could easily be a 30 points and 10 rebounds guy. He could, but he's quite a ways off right now. 22.5 points and 6 rebounds. But if he stays healthy and if he gets more minutes, maybe. What's interesting? All right, and this goes back to a lot of people have just gotten into the hobby in the last few years. So Giannis Antetokounmpo did not put up good numbers for the first 3 years of his career. He did not come out of the gate swinging. He's considered the best player in the world, or one of the best players in the world. But it took a few years for him to get there. So I feel like definitely right now, there's a lot of players you talk about when it comes to, there's a lot of players that are just overlooked. Now maybe they won't ever become anything, but I try to look for guys that are in that second, or I really like the 2016, 15, 16, 17 draft class. Because the cards weren't producing as high numbers, but even if you get into 2018 and 2019, I think Select is a lot better buy than what Prism is. And it's weird because the Select concourse Lucas are $800, which is actually pretty reasonable considering there's only 2,500 of them or something like that. That's reasonable for a guy that plays like that. $1,800 for a card that 16,000 PSA 10s for a base Prism. That's, to me, that's completely unreasonable. Ridiculously, it should be less. They should sell for less than Select, but they don't because it's pop. It's popular and it's hype based, so they don't. But anyways, Yeah, Bonnie. Durant's injury is worrisome. We don't really know how he's going to do this year. Yes, that is definitely correct. We don't. And there's a really high percentage of people that don't ever play again from an Achilles tear. I think it's 30% of basketball players don't ever play again after they tear their Achilles. So we got Durant coming back from an Achilles injury, and we got Klay Thompson. Or is that? Did Klay come back from Achilles tear and then hurt his knee? Or did he hurt his knee and then he came back and tore his Achilles? I can't remember. But anyways, Achilles tear is bad. It'll be interesting to see. So far, so good. He's gotten into training camp and started warm-ups and stuff like that. And I haven't heard anything bad yet. And
Kevin Durant's rookie cards are super cheap, in my opinion. And there again, like there weren't a ton of them, but if you do look into Durant's rookie cards, you want the black version. Like that's his true rookie card. The white version is a version that came out in a rookie set. That was like a 20 card set that was like on a hanger box, and it came out like Walmart and Target. And not that it's not doesn't have value, but I think a lot of people look at that the same as his rookie, as his regular Topps base rookie card, and it's not the same product. Topps. So this is what you see looking at Topps 2007. So like this is the rookie's card. Rookie. So it says up here, it doesn't just say 2007 Topps. It says 2007 Topps rookie card. So that was number 2. So that was a set that came out in a retail format that had a bunch of different people in it. And that's one of them. Like his was one of them in that set. And those are a lot more. There's a lot more of those. Also, the orange variation is also out of that set. There are fewer of those, but that's also out of that set. His main rookie card is the black version, and as you can tell, they're a lot more rare, but they don't sell for a lot more. At least not raw. And it's a lot easier when you're looking at them. It's a lot easier to tell what condition they're in because they do have the black borders. You know, so like here's a 9. You see there in the top right, it's got a little bit of a corner whiteness showing on the corners. This actually, I wouldn't. If I was submitting this, I wouldn't expect it to get a 9. If you look at that bottom left corner, you see a little whiteness. You see a little whiteness on the bottom border there. And then I don't know if that's surface issue there, or if that's just dust that got in the case. But then you see a little whiteness on the top right corner too. So I don't know. I would not expect that to come back a 9. Really, if I was submitting it with a black bordered card. But it did, so that's something to keep in mind. So I'm feeling better about my Ichiro Suzuki coming back a 9. Ryan, just want to say great content and keep up these live streams helps us a ton. I hope so. Thanks. You gotta go? All right, man. We'll have a great evening. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out. Really appreciate it. Bonnie says Thompson, knee, and Achilles. Yeah, knee and Achilles. That's what. Okay, knee, then Achilles. All right. I think I was thinking maybe it's the other way around. I don't know, but yeah. So he's got an Achilles now. He's got to deal with, and that's not good. That's not good at all. Like Achilles tears are bad. Like I said, I think what is it? I'm gonna look that up because I don't know. It's a high percentage. Percentage of NBA Achilles tear that don't play again. How bad is a torn Achilles injury for NBA players? How NBA players have historically fared. Oh, this is from SB Nation. That's that Secret Base. That video site, the YouTube channel Secret Base. That's that site I was talking about that does all those awesome videos where they like dive into the statistics. There's a guy that was a sports journalist that started it, and he's made some awesome videos. Yeah, how NBA players have historically fared after Achilles injuries. An Achilles tear is the worst injury you can have in basketball. When will Kevin Durant be back? So, excuse me. According to a 2013 medical study that identified 18 players who suffered major Achilles injuries over a 23-year span from 1988 to 2011, 7 players never returned to basketball. Players who returned missed an average of 56 games and saw their PER decline in their first and second seasons back.
A 2015 CBS Sports article found that among 14 players who returned from Achilles injuries since 1992, they averaged fewer minutes while both their field goal and three-point percentages dropped on average. There are very few complete success stories. That's an uphill battle Durant is facing. So yeah, 7 out of 18 players never returned to the league. So 40%, right at 40% of players. That's crazy. That's even more than I thought it was. But yeah, it's bad. It's bad. It's very bad. Let's see. I think I'm going to take a little break. I'm willing to go on if you all want to hang out for a little while longer. I'm having fun. But I am going to take a little break, go get a cup of coffee, be back in about 5 minutes. So if y'all want to hang around, I will be back in about 5 minutes.
want to know what other YouTube channels that you all watch that are non-sports card related. Like, I would say at least 80% of what I watch on TV is YouTube. It's been that way for a couple of years. That most of my TV that I take in is just sitting, with my Roku on my TV watching YouTube. I don't really watch much like television, even cable news or news. I get my news through YouTube. And so there's a lot of channels I watch that I really like. Linus Tech Tips and Courage JD and that SB Nation. I really like that. Lately, I've been watching a lot of channels about Photoshop and video editing, but I'm starting to kind of get the hang of that, and about lighting and audio and oh shit. Speaking of audio, I had to remember to turn my mic back on. So anyways, what I was asking, Stubby's Cards has subscribed. Stubby, if you're in here, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. What I was going on to before I remembered to turn my mic back on was what other YouTube channels do y'all watch that aren't sports card related? Like I watch Linus Tech Tips. I watch Courage JD. I watch, hey, there's my live stream. Huh? I watch, let's see, SB Nation. So here's Secret Base. They do a bunch on the Mariners because they are based in Seattle or around Seattle. The guy that started them, he used to work for Microsoft. But it's a really cool channel. I like their older stuff more than their newer stuff because it was more like in depth. I'm a numbers guy, and it was more numbers kind of oriented. I just like the way he did it more. But there's the. Do y'all want to live react to the sports card investor stream? But yeah, also, I mean, I watch a lot of sports cards channels on here. Oh, John Boy. I watch a lot of John Boy, and I watch Undisputed and Club Shay Shay with Shannon Sharp. If you haven't seen Shannon Sharp's interview with Ken Griffey Jr., that's an awesome one. He just did it a couple weeks ago, I think, on Club Shay Shay. Jesse, my YouTube consists of cards, gaming, Fortnite, hunting, survival, and some investing like wholesaling and stocks. Oh, right on. So like, you ever watch Biaheza? That he does a lot of like, kind of that type of, not really investing, not really stocks, not really wholesaling, but it's kind of just, kind of like, young, good-looking guy that does videos that are kind of revolve around money. Like he did one about, I tried to make money in sports cards. Lots of sports commentary. Yeah, I watch a lot of sports commentary too. I watch a lot of sports-related content. Get Like Coop. I don't know if y'all ever watch Get Like Coop. Yeah, he's just an influencer. Like he doesn't, like some people like him, good-looking guy that makes a good video and can present really well. Like they're entertaining. They make entertaining content. Like that's the value they provide, is an entertainment value. There's a lot of channels out there like that, and I think the best ones are the ones that do both. Like they provide, so like Linus Tech Tips, like Linus provides entertainment value, but he also provides like
knowledge-based value, like both coming together, and that's why he's got whatever 10 million subscribers or whatever like that. I'm back, Bonnie. I'm asking. I want to know what other non-sports card related YouTube channels people watch. So like I would say 80 to 90% of my what I watch on TV is YouTube. Like if I'm sitting in my recliner eating dinner, I'm watching YouTube most of the time. So I watch a lot of sports and sports card related channels, but I also watch a lot of other stuff on there. Jesse, do you ever watch Courage? Do you ever watch Courage JD? The guy, he used to be a codcaster. He used to be like a announcer for Call of Duty esports. But now he did Fortnite for quite a couple of years when Fortnite was huge. And then he did he did a lot of COD videos but he's fun to watch. He's a cool guy, really fun to watch. Yeah, Courage is lit. Yeah, he is. Courage is awesome. I love Courage. He's a good guy. It's like, genuine, honest. Like he just gets on there, does his thing, talks about what's going on. Like, if he's hungover, he'll tell you. If he's whatever, like he doesn't put on a front. I like that. He's coming back to Fortnite for a little bit, I think. Yeah, you kind of have to. That's another thing I was interested in talking to you all about, if you wanted to, was like YouTube. Like, Courage is awesome, and he could do videos on anything, but to stay relevant and like to build more subscribers and do better, and give people what they want. So it's it's not like selling out or anything. It's just, what do people want? How do I give people what they want? So Courage has to go back, and he doesn't have to, but he'll tell you himself, like, he would like to do a lot more videos on, or like Tim the Tatman. I love Tim the Tatman. Like on Tim the Tatman, he'll say how he really, really, really wishes he could do more videos on World of Warcraft. Shroud, the same thing. He will say, I really, really, really wish I could do more videos on World of Warcraft, but my viewership goes down 70% if I do World of Warcraft videos. So you got to stay relevant and give people what they want. And so Courage is a good balance in entertainment between kids and adults. Yes, he is. Yeah, he is. He's a good balance. And who is it? Connor, the kid that has been with him for like years and years, that he started playing with him. Connor was like 10 years old, that he met on Fortnite. And like, yeah, he's a good balance. And I hope a lot of those professional esports guys are able to get into streaming and YouTube a lot more, because that's a tough, like, it's starting to pay a lot more than it used to, especially you get into like, I just drew a blank. But some of the leagues, they pay really, really, really well. But then, like, Call of Duty, like, it didn't pay very well at all up until the last couple of years. Now it pays good. Like, Skunk makes, like, I don't know what he made over $1 million. Nah, I think he made $750 last year, like, as his contract. But then he's got, streaming in his YouTube channel and stuff as well, and he's got endorsements with Scuff, and he's got endorsements with whoever, G Fuel or Mountain Dew Game Fuel or whoever, will endorse him. But yeah, Courage is he has built one heck of a following, and he's done really well. Esports is so huge. So many people are successful from just being entertaining. Don't need to be complete top 10 pro. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, people are interested in the game, but that's not why someone will sit and watch you play a game for, however long, for an hour, 3 hours, 4 hours, or 10 hours, or like, people aren't going to just sit around just to watch the game. Like, it's got to be entertaining. So Courage does some awesome ones, and some Marcel. Oh my gosh, Marcel is so funny, and Nogla too. Like Nogla, Death and Nogla's regular channel. It's not as funny, but when he would play Call of Duty with when he played Warzone with Marcel and Courage and them, oh, it's hilarious. Oh, it's hilarious. Yeah, I think for a lot of people, gaming's been their saving grace. I played a lot of COD earlier this year. It's so frustrating. Skill-based matchmaking is just ridiculous. Like it's so frustrating. You can't win. It's not like you just have to grind or you're just getting demolished all the time. But met a lot of cool people, had a lot of fun. There's nothing else to do. I wish I would have started my channel at the beginning of the year. That's what I wish, but, I didn't, and now it's like juggling, work and doing this, and I love it. I really enjoy it, and I'm super grateful that anybody's willing to stick around and watch me, but yeah, I wish I would have started sooner. Like, I definitely wish I would have started sooner, but to everything there is a season, my friends. To everything there is a season. I want to look up this, and I don't even know if I'm supposed to do this on YouTube, but I'm going to do it anyways. Secret Base has this video about Barry Bonds that is just ridiculous. I'm going to play a little bit for y'all. Secret Base Barry Bonds. Oh, what if Barry Bonds had played baseball without a bat? This is ridiculous, and everyone should watch it because I don't think anybody realizes how good Barry Bonds was in the early 2000s. Let me find the specific. Hold on.
Then you should check out Cotton's.
Barry Bonds, and Barry.
Hold on.
And there's Craig Counsell's the worst. The difference between Bonds and number 2 is almost as great as the difference between number 2 and number 161. It's like he almost lapped him.
So that's Barry Bonds' OPS in 2004 was 1422. So the difference between him and the number 2 highest OPS in baseball was almost the same as the number 2 and the worst player with that many plate appearances. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Barry Bonds,
of course, he was
an intentional walk.
120 intentional walks. So he got walked almost once every game. Almost once every game in 2004, he got walked. Like 3 out of every 4 games, he got not walked. He got an intentional walk. They intentionally did not throw to him. 3 out of every 4 games in 2004. Oh my gosh. That is ridiculous. It's my favorite set. It's the one that, if over the course of time, oh yeah, it is. It's really interesting. He does them on a lot of sports. But he does a lot of them on baseball. So this is my favorite set of all time. This is my bank account. So like all of the money that I make in sports cards eventually goes into 1971 Topps Baseball. 1971 Topps Baseball, Black Beauties as they're called, are historically very condition sensitive. And they're kind of like within the community, they're like revered among semi-modern like post-war era baseball cards because like there are 3 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle PSA 10s. There are a lot of cards in the 1971 Topps set that don't have 3 PSA 10s. There are several cards that have 0. And almost every card in that set is valuable if it's graded in a 9 or a 10. Like, it's worth grading. Every single card in a 792 card set is worth grading if it's in a high grade. If it's a 9 or a 10, like, it's worth it. I just wanted to kind of visit, just to show you all a little bit about vintage and like what's there. To kind of bring it in. So this is the design. That's the third year Nolan Ryan, fourth year Nolan Ryan. Roberto Clemente. There's a lot of Hall of Famers. Several rookies in this year. Pete Rose, Reggie Jackson, Steve Garvey's rookie card, Brooks Robinson, Frank Robinson's in this, Willie McCovey. There's a lot of awesome players in this set, but that's not what makes it super valuable. What makes it super valuable is population. Like, there's very few in really good condition, even coming out of unopened packs. Like, centering was really bad. The black borders are what really made it hard because every little imperfection shows. Black beauties. So this is the story of 1971 Topps baseball card set from PSA's website. And I just wanted to touch on, there's a set of, like, the highest grade set, which is not all PSA 10s, because you can't get a set at this point in time with all PSA 10s. The condition issues are the reason this set is considered the toughest set of the 1970s to put together in high grade. Of the close to 80,000 cards that have been submitted to PSA, only 0.1% have gotten a PSA 10 grade, and just 4% have been graded 9s. So as opposed to, like, 50 to 65% of the 2018 and 2019s are coming out of PSA 10. And PSA has actually made it a lot harder in the last couple of years to get a PSA 10. Baseball Collector Investor Dealer, his YouTube channel, he did a Hobby News take the other day where he showed that he had done this before, where he showed that basically SGC, BGS, and PSA were given about the same, SGC 9.5s, PSA 10s, and SGC 10s. Or, yeah, BGS 9.5s, SGC 10s, and PSA 10s. The percentage of cards submitted, of modern cards that they were given out in 10s, was about the same. It was around 70% of modern cards that were submitted got 10s, or 9.5s in BGS case, which is pretty much the same. So, in the last year, the 2019s, PSA has started grading about 20% less than BGS and SGC in PSA 10s. I think that's really interesting because I think they're doing that for a reason. I think one of those reasons could be that they want to maintain that price superiority over BGS and SGC. So they're making it harder to get a 10 so that people are continually willing to pay more for a PSA 10 than they are BGS 9.5, right? So they still perceive it as a higher quality grading service. And the excuse me. The other thing is, I think in the big picture type format, they want to make sure, since they are the main grading service by far, like they have, there's 6 to 7 times more PSA 10s, more cards submitted to PSA than there are BGS, which is BGS is second. So they want to maintain some. I think they're trying to maintain some market value. Try to stretch this boom out as much as they can, because
when stuff starts to sell off, the more of them there are, the harder it'll drop, right? So, you take that 20% into effect, and if you're talking about Zion, like instead in 2019, so instead of there being 16,000 PSA 10s, if they had been grading the same as they were before, now you're looking at 20,000 PSA 10s, 20,000 PSA 10s. And I would say before it's all said and done, once they get caught up with their grading, more product gets open, more product gets put out there, there will be 20 to 25,000 PSA 10 Zions and John Morant's probably. That's just what it shows basically, we'll see, just in Prism. But anyways, I thought that was interesting. So, but 1/10 of 1% of 1971 Topps have been graded PSA 10, and just 4% have been graded 9s. And almost 0.8% of 1970 Topps were graded PSA 10, while close to 16% have been graded 9s. So 8 times more PSA 10s in 1970 and 4 times more PSA 9s. So if we go into the pop report for 1971 Topps baseball, and again, like all of the cards in this set in a high grade are valuable. So you look at, there's been 301,000 cards submitted, and you look at modern card sets 2019, 2018 Prism, there's like 150,000, half as many, but that doesn't mean anything because, this is from you go down through here, every card in this set has had cards graded. And so, like, look at this 10 report. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 1. One Jim Holt. That card probably sells for $1,000 of Jim Holt, who nobody's ever heard of. 0, only 9 9s of Mike McQueen. 0, only 5 Claude Osteen PSA 9s. 0, only 4 Johnny Callison PSA 9s. And this is what you run into. So we go up here. There's been 242 PSA 10s given out in the night of the 792 card set, 1971 Topps set. 242 PSA 10s out of 300,000 cards that have been submitted. Jesse, I saw a video that PSA 10 might be getting a little stricter. Yeah, significantly stricter. From what he's showing, which he had done this before, and then he went and did it again, they were about the same before, and now PSA is like 20%, giving out 20% less. That's a lot. That's a lot less. They've made it quite a bit tougher, and so we'll see, because they just sold to Nats Turner, a group led by Nats Turner, who was their biggest customer. Like, you think about PSA, like there's people that submit thousands of cards. He was their biggest customer, and he also put a group together. He's a tech investor, like a tech entrepreneur. The guy's 34 years old, huge card collector. I think it'll be a really good thing for PSA and for the hobby. I think I know he has a sincere and genuine love for the hobby. And I will tell you straight up that, in my opinion, and I've taken part in a lot of hobbies, the people in the baseball card hobby are the best people that you will find. Like, there is no better. Like, when it comes to just genuine, honest people that love their hobby and are willing to do it for free, if they have to. Like, you just don't find that, very much. And in my opinion, like, they're the best. They're the best. you know. But I do think he has a genuine love for the hobby. It's not about money, you know. It is in a way, probably. It's about making PSA more profitable, but you make PSA more profitable by making them more efficient, by making them better at what they do. You know, there's rumors that since he's been in the tech industry for years that he'll introduce some form of like computerized grading, which I don't think is a bad thing. Like, a lot of people won't like it because there's a lot of cards that shouldn't get a 10 that do get a 10. And that's more likely than a card that should get a 10 that doesn't. But at least, you know, if it's the right program, it's computerized, then you're on a level playing field. Like me, I could submit my 20 cards through a personal bulk submission, and they get the same treatment, they have the same chance of getting the same grades. I'm not dealing with a guy that maybe just come off a bender and is hungover or pissed off or, you know, had a fight with his wife or his kids that morning or whatever, or just isn't paying attention, or, you know, I don't have to worry about that. You know, my card's going into a system that's been designed to take all these factors into effect, and it gives out, you know, a grade that is not dependent on human error, right? So I don't know. I like that idea, but we'll see. We'll see what he does. He hasn't said anything. You know, he's not going to say anything. But yeah, I mean, you got 9,000 PSA 9s, which there's not out of this whole set. It's ridiculous how hard. You cannot put a PSA 10 set together of this as of today. Like, it's impossible. There just aren't hardly any. Only maybe like 30% of the cards in this set. Not even that. Probably more closer to 15 or 20%. Because I know there are some cards in this set that I know there are some cards in this set that have more than one PSA 10 example. Probably some. So Tony Conigliaro. Probably some of the more collectible guys who were maybe protected a little better in the early days. I don't know. Tony Conigliaro was a big guy in his day. I'm pretty sure Tony Conigliaro was the Rookie of the Year in 1970. So he's got like an All-Star Cup card in this set. Roy Foster, Bill Mazeroski. Maybe I'm thinking of Bill Mazeroski, that this is his Rookie Cup. But anyways, Bill Mazeroski, he was a more collectible guy back in the day. He's got two cards that are PSA 10. Dennis Mckee, never heard of him outside of this set. Let's see here. I like to test my theories out to see if I know anything. Checklist, red helmet or orange helmet. There's two of them. Orange helmet, red helmet. But the most notorious card in this set is Claude Raymond. And if you want to sound cool, if you're ever talking to anybody about 1971 Topps baseball, if you want to be the coolest guy in the room, bring up Claude Raymond, who out of 449 cards submitted to PSA has 0 10s, only 2 9s, none with qualifiers. So qualifiers like off-center or stained. He doesn't even have like a 9 off-center. 2 9s in existence, no 10s. 48 8s at 2 8.5. So there's 2 9s, 2 8.5. That's the plus sign. So the plus symbol says, you know, there's an 8.5. So there's 2 8.5s, 48 8s. But of those 50 cards, 16 of them have qualifiers, whether they're miscut or off center or stained or whatever they are. So a qualifier will normally knock a card down in pricing by 2 grades. So all 16 of these cards that are 8s are selling as a 6, right? A PSA 8 off center is going to sell as the same as a 6 basically. So 8s, 9s, and 10s you take those 16 out, and there's 36 cards total of Claude Raymond that have been graded either an 8, 9, or 10 by PSA. It's just ridiculous. Oh my gosh. So anyways, yeah, I love this set, and I don't know what's going to happen with vintage over time. Set building has pretty much gone out of style. Like, I don't see it ever coming back. Potentially, like, what I see is potentially more people making what they call master sets of certain players. So there's like a Ken Griffey Jr. master set, or like a Michael Jordan master set, and that has like all of the main cards from there, of all the cards that were produced of them, all of their main cards. So I know there's people out there that are trying to put together like the Michael Jordan master set with every one of his main cards and inserts, and Ken Griffey Jr. master sets. So I think that might be a thing. But as far as like building regular sets, I feel like that's done. That's gone the way of the dinosaur. And I don't really think it'll come back. I have this like macro theory, like overarching theory, that because of minimalism, because of people trying to declutter and minimize their life, which I think is important, and I do too. That's something that I do as well. That just stuff like that, where you've got, a bunch of boxes of baseball cards sitting around making sets out of them, is going. It's gone away, and it's not coming back. Bonnie, do you have any 1971 PSA 10s, or are you just collecting sets? No, I don't have any. No, nope, I don't have that kind of money. No, I collect. Let me see what I've got. I know I've got some 8s. I've got at least an 8. Give me just a second. No, like I want to see if I can find a sale of a PSA 10, and then I'll show you what I've just got here, and go into some stuff on that. I just want to see if I can find a sale of a PSA 10 1971 Topps baseball. I doubt it. I doubt there are any sales on eBay. Oh, there is some. There is one selling right now from Probstein. A Bill Rigney. There's a Phillies team card. There's a Reds team card. And these two will sell. They're gonna sell. Like a PSA 10. There's you'd be surprised. Every guy out there every guy with money out there is trying to put one of these sets together wants these cards. And like anybody with that kind of money, in particular, wants these cards. Excuse me. They're just a great investment. There's going to be very few that ever hit the market. Like, there won't be very many more that ever hit the market. And like also on those Claude Osteen, like 9s and 10s, like there's 2 9s, 48 8s, there might only be 28s. Those others might have been cards that have been cracked and resubmitted. So take that into account, not necessarily with 10s, because if somebody gets a 10, they're not going to crack it and resubmit it. Why would they? At least not for PSA. But with 8s and 9s in cards like this, they will. If they get an 8 and they think it should do better, they'll crack it and resubmit it. I mean, you're talking about a difference in, $5,000 or something like that. Excuse me. So, yeah, there's a lot of reprints out there. Price plus shipping highest. So, yeah, none have sold. There haven't been any sold. But it looks like there are 2 that are getting ready to sell. But let's look at 9s just to see. Okay, here's one of the most highly collectible cards in the set is the 1971 Topps Roberto Clemente PSA 9, $22,000. And if a guy wants to, that's the race right now, is not who can put together a complete PSA 10 set, but who can put together a PSA set with the highest value. And when they do their set tracking, their set registry, they give a multiplier to cards that are more important. So like a Nolan Ryan or Roberto Clemente will give you more, a better overall graded, the set. So they grade the set overall, and they will give you a better overall grade for a PSA 9 Roberto Clemente than like a PSA 9 common card or something like that. It has a multiplier to it or something like that. Yeah, $22,000 for that PSA 9 Roberto Clemente, $12,000 for the Johnny Bench PSA 9, $10,000 for Reggie Jackson PSA 9. Ted Simmons was Rookie of the Year that year. $10,000 for a PSA 9. Now these are maybe, and go down through here, 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, 6,500 for the Hank Aaron. But I think the Hank Aaron's are more, are one of the cards that are like easier, like they have more graded examples. Yeah, so there's 4 10s, Hank Aaron 10s, and there's 39 9s. So, as opposed to like Nolan Ryan, and I could go into Nolan Ryan because Nolan Ryan's potentially, so there's 0 10s in Nolan Ryan, there's 31 9s. So Nolan Ryan's going for $10,000, Hank Aaron's going for 5, just because there's more 9s and 4 10s in a Hank Aaron and 0 in a Nolan Ryan. Yeah, Nolan Ryan, potentially the best pitcher to ever play baseball. I mean, it's arguable. So that guy threw 7 no-hitters. He has the highest recorded fastball ever of any player, and they've been recording fastballs for a long time. Bob Feller had a fastball that was 107.4 or something like that, or 0.6. Nolan Ryan had a fastball in 1974 that was 108.1 miles per hour. Played for 22 years, 24 years. 24 years, I think. Played till he was like 44 years old. 7 no-hitters. I mean, just ridiculous. But doesn't, like his rookie cards, even though there's not very many of them in a PSA 10, like they're not, overall as far as market cap, they're not that much. Like when you look at like Michael Jordan's market cap, if you take his 275 PSA 10s times $120,000, what they're going for right now, it's like $60 million in market cap. Nolan Ryan's 3 or 4 PSA 10s sell for like
$700,000. You know, there might be a few more of them than that, but you're looking at less than a $10 million market cap. So, you know, pitchers just don't bring as much. Pitchers just don't bring as much. It's just a fact of the matter. Even as best pitcher ever in a card that's, you know, very rare. But yeah, so and that's a lot of these older sets. So these came out in series. There was 7 series. So the high number series in 1971 Topps Baseball, and most of these 60s and 60s and early 70s sets had a high numbers series. So the high numbers series was like, in 1971, it was number 646 through 792. Right? Wait, no, it wasn't 792. It was the 80s when they started making 792 card sets. This set is, I should know this, but I don't. 752 cards. And the high number series is card 644 through 752. So they would release these series through the season, and by the end of the season, when they released the last series, nobody really was collecting. You know, nobody was buying baseball cards because the baseball season was over. And so the high number series, in most sets of that time period, are a lot more valuable. So if I look up 1971 Topps high number. So most of the common cards in 1971 Topps. So there's a high number. That's not even a high number. That's a 634. A lot of people put high number on this, and it's just market speak. Like that's not a high number card. High number starts at 644. But if you're ever looking through, if you ever buy a lot of these older cards, keep that in mind that even like the semi-high numbers, which is the next set down, will be more valuable than a lower numbered card, a lower series card, to a certain extent. So a lot of 61 high number cards in a VGX condition. So let me show you what a VGX condition is. And none of these are stars really, but that's VGX condition. Like not good. Like rounded, seriously rounded corners. VGX is like a 3/4, and none of these are 4s. None of them. Like it's marked VGX, and they are all 3s. You'd be surprised how bad a card can be and still get a 3. Like basically, if it doesn't have a crease right down the middle, it can get a 3 for the most part. Or if it doesn't have markings or whatever, it can get a 3. But yeah, these are VG3 condition, and they sold in a lot of 60. They sold for $5 a piece, and they're all commons. Like that's like when I was buying these in this condition, you could get them for $1 a piece, and I was buying several of them. And actually, what do I got here? Let me switch over and I'll show you some of the ones that I have here. So, here's a high number, Chico Ruiz. That is a PSA 7 miscut. So that's number 686. It's a PSA 7 miscut. So that would sell the same as a 5. But when you get into vintage cards, there are people that collect miscuts. This is a whole box of miscuts. And I might actually get some of these graded, because these cards are, like everything else, starting to go up in value. Like I said, they've probably gone up. They've gone up quite a bit since I started collecting. And So I've got a whole box here of miscuts. Like, see that one? That you can see the picture of above it, part of the picture above it. There's another one. Like, these are all miscuts. This is a Bud Harrelson Mets card when Nolan Ryan played for the Mets, and that's Nolan Ryan, pretty sure. And they sell this card as a Nolan Ryan card sometimes. They'll like label it a Nolan Ryan. Like, it's crazy. They'll try to sell it as a Nolan Ryan card because he's on the picture. This was the first year that they made action shots in base cards. So these are like, they posed for this picture as opposed to that Bud Harrelson card is an action shot. They're actually playing in the game and they took a picture of it. This is the first year where Topps ever did action shots as base cards. They would have action shots. So there's that Roy Foster that we were looking at earlier that had like 2 PSA 10s. That's his all-star rookie. It was an all-star, I guess, in his rookie season. But yeah, I've set several of these aside from sets that I went through. Yeah, Nolan Ryan threw 108 miles an hour. That's on record. That's recorded. Like, that's... We haven't seen anything close to that in the last 20 years. Not anything close at all. Jesse, do you like NBA hoops? I think that series is also slept on. Yeah, I do too. I think it's slept on a little bit. It's a cheap set, but it's also a set that's been around for 30 years, and it's probably not going anywhere. And it's always been a cheap set, but, I think Donruss is the best value right now. I think Donruss in football, and that's like, I open those up, and like, I might do an in-depth, like, here's what I plan on doing. I plan on doing a series called Unopened, where I go in depth into the numbers of what the return on investment would be if you were to buy this unopened box or set in with market value. So go into, okay, a 2018 Prism, a hobby box of 2018 Prism is like $12,000 or something like that, something crazy, $20,000. Okay, but then break that down. So there's, you get a certain amount of cards in that set, okay, out of the total amount of base cards in that set. So you have a certain percentage chance of getting the cards that are valuable in that set. So, you take that percentage times the market value of those cards, you come up with a number, right? I don't know if I'd do it based on PSA graded 10s or if I'd do it on raw. It doesn't really matter. Well, I mean, it does, but... so you have that percentage. So if you get 100 cards out of a hobby box, base cards, out of a 400 card set, then you can expect a 25% return on whatever those base cards would sell for, whether you want to figure it raw or whether you want to figure it graded. With the centering of Prism, if I was doing that, I don't know how I'd do it. I might figure them at a PSA. You'd have to figure in grading costs in. I don't know, but I've kind of been thinking about that. And then you've got your parallels. So I would take into account, okay, what do you get? Like 2 silvers a box. And then with hobby boxes, you get a certain amount of parallels. All right, so what are the odds those parallels come on? And I would just do base cards and parallels. So, silver's a parallel, green's a parallel, orange is a parallel. You can kind of figure if you take, Luka base cards and then take the percentage of those parallels, you can kind of figure what the odds are of pulling one of those parallels. But in a hobby box, it's higher, so I don't know. But then you take So, if there's 100 cards in the box, you get 2 silvers out of every box. So a silver's 1 in 50 times 400 cards. 1 in 50 times 400 cards. Possible. So that's your percentage of pulling a Luka Silver that sells for $8,000. So, yes, there's a chance that you could get a Luka Silver, but what is the actual value, return on investment of that box? If you were to open, 1,000 boxes, how much does that 8,000 Luka give you back on average? And it's probably a pretty low number. But going through several boxes and sets like that, I've been looking at 2014 Prism and 2014 Select. 2014 Prism, you got Joel Embiid, Andrew Wiggins, some other guys, Jabari Parker, their rookie year. So it's not big names, it's not guys that sell for a lot of money, but the population counts are a lot lower. Joel Embiid's big. He's good. But a hobby box of 2014 Prism is like $1,000, and you've got LeBron base, you've got Kobe base, you've got Durant, you got all those guys, and in other sets, you've got second year Giannis. You've also got second year Giannis. And the second year Giannis silver is ridiculous. But anyways, you got all those base opportunities. And so there's predictions I would make that would factor into that. It's just me as a person. But actually running the numbers and saying, what's the expected return on investment from this box? Based on, what cards are available and what my odds are of pulling those cards. Have you heard of Star Stock? What are your opinions? Yeah, I've heard of Star Stock. I don't know much about it. I know, it's only rookie cards. You send cards in kind of like ComC. They give your cards a grade. They give your cards a grade, whether it's Star Stock A, B, or C. And then you can basically trade them. But also, now I think they're doing PSA submissions through Star Stock. So I think a Star Stock A is supposed to be a 9 or better. I think. I think it's an interesting concept. And all this stuff makes the hobby exciting. But, y'all know kind of how I feel about, from a financial standpoint, all of this short-term stuff makes the hobby more volatile, which probably leads to more volatile, more fluctuation in price. So not only population, but also this mentality of short-term investing and flipping and all this stuff. So with this population, once stuff starts to fall, it's going to fall off a friggin' cliff, is my opinion. So, I think it's really interesting. It's exciting. Maybe it's good for the hobby. Maybe it's not. It's not my cup of tea. I'm not going to pay much attention to short-term investing because it's a lot of effort for a lot of risk. And I think it's big time, overrepresented the success of short-term investing because this year it's easy to flip in a year where everything just goes up the whole time. But I think long term, any of these guys that keep trying to do this are not going to have near as much luck. And so that's one of my predictions, is that we'll see a serious correction in the market this off season after basketball season. You'll see a lot of those guys that are flippers or short-term investors that once it comes to the end of the season and they're going to have to wait, 6 months before basketball season starts again, they're just going to start selling everything. And the price is going to plummet because there's so much stuff out there. Which maybe makes for a good buying opportunity. That's what the guys would say on the, the cool guys. But I'm not a cool guy. And it only makes for a good buying opportunity if you catch it at the bottom. But if it's not the bottom, then, it's it is what it is. It probably is. It's almost always a good buying opportunity if you buy midway through the off season. And then, the best way, a really easy way to make money in sports cards, and probably the best way, is to just buy a selection of the best players halfway through the off season and sell them right before the season starts. You have very little risk and usually a really good return, like 30. You'll average about 30% return. And with 4 different sports, you can do that 3 or 4 times a year. Make really good money. Honestly, it's an awesome way to make money in sports cards. And that's kind of, I try to, I'm waiting until the middle of January, beginning of January, right after Christmas is when baseball's at its lowest. So I plan on buying a lot of baseball rookies and stuff. A lot of the guys that I've outlined that I want to buy, I'm planning on putting money into them in beginning of January, middle of January. You can do the same thing with basketball. Pretty much year over year, you can just buy halfway through the off season and sell right before the season starts, and you have very little risk and almost guaranteed return on investment. It's easy. Anybody can do it. It's easy. So would Donruss football be a good to invest with little risk? I kind of think so. I kind of think it is. I don't know for sure. I'd have to run the numbers. But I kind of feel like Donruss football and basketball is about the best risk reward, about the best price to return on investment product out there. When you look at this Donruss Blaster box, you get like 25% of the rated rookie set in that box. I think I got like 10 or 12 rated rookies out of that box. So there's 50 rated rookies in the set. So you've got Herbert sells for $300 in a PSA 10. That's how I always look at stuff, is if I can grade this in a PSA 10, what's it sell for? So Herbert sells for, let's just take Herbert. So like Donruss, Herbert rated rookie in a PSA 10 sells for like $300, and a PSA 9 I think it sells for like $120. So if you can get blaster boxes of Donruss, you get 5 of them for $20 a piece. That's $120. No, that's $100, and you're almost guaranteed to pull a Herbert, and everything else is cream. It even pays for your grading fee for that Herbert, and even if it comes back a 9. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how I'm looking at it right now. Is like, yeah, it's almost stupid. If you can find it at retail anyways. Now, if you're doing the same thing and you're buying them for $40 off eBay, then that's $200. Then you're taking a little bit of a risk. But if you can find them at retail, that's, I found those, and I just found 3 of them. So I picked them up and thought it'd be a good little break and a good little giveaway item. And then I got to open them, got to think about it. I'm like, this represents a pretty good return on investment. It would represent a lot better return on investment if Joe Burrow didn't get injured. Because his rated rookies, they're still up there. I honestly can't believe that Joe Burrow's still selling as good as he is. I don't get it. And it's just, I don't think people understand what the off season does to card prices. But we'll see. Yeah, good. I love Donruss, and I collect them more than Panini. Yeah. Donruss is... I like Donruss. Rated rookies are iconic from the early 90s. And so that's what I grew up with. I really like rated rookies. I like the designs. So yeah, I mean, I really like Donruss. But then you take into account, There's other rated rookies that sell well in a PSA 10. Tua sells really well. I think Ruggs does pretty good. Justin Jefferson does really good. I mean, just not just Herbert, but there's like 3 or 4 other guys that'll sell for $100 in a PSA 10. So yeah, I mean, a blaster box of Donruss football is actually kind of crazy to me because you think about like I think Prism. I don't know. I mean, a blaster box of Prism, I think you get like 24 cards out of a 400 card set. So, you know, your odds of getting one of those rookies, I think there's like 100 rookies in Prism, and most of them are not worth anything hardly. Now, obviously, if you can find that at $20, then yeah, it's worth breaking. But if you got to go out and pay $75, yeah, I don't know, maybe it is. You know, that base Herbert probably sells for $800 in a PSA 10. I don't know. But yeah, I do think Donruss is a pretty good investment. Guys, man, I am getting super tired. I do want to show you these, though. I'm trying to keep going, but streaming is oddly, like, tough. Like, it takes the energy out of you. I've noticed that. It's like I could sit here looking at who threw 108. Nolan Ryan, 108.1. The highest pitch ever recorded, 1974. Yes, sir. Thanks for stopping in, Jim Bob. Glad to have you. Yeah, Nolan Ryan was my favorite player up until he retired in 1992. I think it was 92. 92 or not. 92, it was 44. I'm pretty sure it was 92. And then Mike Piazza was my favorite player through the 90s and into the 2000s when I was young. But yeah, from what I understand, everything I've looked at, yeah, Nolan Ryan threw 108.1, the highest recorded pitch ever, next to, and the second highest was Bob Feller, I think, who, after a little bit of computing, because he threw on a chronograph machine, not a radar gun, which chronograph is supposed to be more accurate, but anyways, that Bob Feller threw 107.6 or something like that. So these are the 71 Topps that I have here. So I've got a PSA 6 Reggie Jackson. Then these are both high number 7s. So that's a Joe Niekro, which has some star value, Joe Niekro. Phil Niekro's brother. In a 7. Jerry Morales in a 7, and a high number 696. And then this is the 8 that I have, which is like Ken Tatum in a semi-high number. It's a 601. But just, and there's several of these Ken Tatums in a PSA 8. But just having one PSA 8, 1971, is pretty cool. Regardless of who it is. Like, I buy these whenever I can find them. I don't know what they're going for now. When I was buying these, I could get them for like, even these high numbers, I could get them for like $15. And now, like you saw, the friggin' BG3 raw high numbers are going for $5 a piece and a lot of 60, which is nuts. But awesome. I mean, awesome for me, I guess. But yeah, those are the cards that I have here with me, Bonnie. Yeah, Nolan Ryan had a great run. Just ridiculous. And he was still
kicked Robin Ventura's ass whenever he was like 44 years old. I think it was his last season in baseball. I think it was his last season, and Robin Ventura's rookie season, maybe. I don't know. All I know is he made him look pretty foolish. The guy picked a fight with a 44-year-old guy and got his butt whooped. I don't know if y'all have ever seen that, but yeah. I mean, I don't know if it'll ever change. I think Nolan Ryan's a great investment. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's always going to go up, like, in value. Well, I mean, over time. I mean, as long as baseball cards are still considered valuable, his cards are going to go up in value. I don't know that it'll ever change to where pitchers are valued more because, like I said, his market cap of his rookie cards in the PSA 10 is like, probably a third of what it should be. Like, it really, even is. You can't compare him to Mantle and Jordan, but even comparing him to like the top level beyond those greatest of all time players, he still ought to, in that rare of a rookie card and that old, like, he still ought to have a $15 million market cap in those cards, which I think there's only 3. So I think it would be like $5 million a piece, and I'm getting pretty deep here, but his rookie. Let me look those up. 1968 Topps. Wasn't it 68? Pretty sure it was. Yeah, it was 68. Yeah. Oh shit, that's football. Sorry, guys. Let me look up the pop because I know one of his PSA 10s went for like 600 or 750,000 earlier, like in the last couple of years. What in the hell? Was it 60? No, it was 68. I guess it wasn't. I guess it was 69. Was it? I guess it was. 2 PSA 10s. Is that right? No. That's not Nolan Ryan's rookie card. Nolan Ryan's rookie card was 1968. Nolan Ryan, Jerry Koosman. Yeah, he whooped him. He did. Let's see here. It's weird. I'm having a hard time finding. Yeah. Oh, they had it under N. Ryan and J. Koosman. So yeah, there was one PSA 10 Nolan Ryan rookie card. And it sold for like $600,000, $750,000, which I think is really, really, really stupid of a market cap. When one brand of Prism Luka cards has a $22 million market cap, and in a PSA 10 in base cards. Don't be talking about Ventura like that. What are you, a White Sox fan? Hold on here. Hold on here. Wait. I gotta do something. We gotta see this.
Let's see if they've got the. Let's see if that. Yeah, here's the John Boy version.
We do it every night.
Run your dishwasher every night with Cascade Platinum, the surprising way to save water.
Okay, this was easily our most requested breakdown from the past. Nolan Ryan and Robin Ventura, and here you have it. You've got 46-year-old Hall of Famer Nolan Ryan. Looks straight out of a sitcom actor that's too old, but they don't want to get a new actor, so he's just going back to play baseball, versus 26-year-old Robin Ventura, the old grizzled vet versus the young, fun rookie. And this team, they have a history, these two teams. For the last 3 years, they had been throwing at each other, hitting each other, retaliating. The White Sox dove into outside pitches. Nolan Ryan didn't like that. He said, that's my half of the plate. So in this game, in the first inning, Robin Ventura singled off Nolan Ryan in the top of the first to start the scoring RBI, and then in the bottom of the second inning we had a hit by pitch. White Sox pitcher hit a Ranger. So here you go. Now Nolan Ryan, the guy who got the RBI off Nolan Ryan right after one of his players got hit, steps into the box, and it's just too easy. Let's just plunk that dude. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. First, he was shocked by it, and he's just like, okay, sure thing. What are you doing? And look at this. Pudge is actually going to block that first punch. Get out of here, Pudge. No one doesn't need any help. Bam. That one kind of skids off his head. These next couple are pretty good. Pop. Next one coming. Pop. Just things could not have gone worse for Ventura. Now he's trying to move his arm to try and block some of these punches. Pop. So he gets his left arm up to protect his head, and Nolan Ryan comes with face shot.
He got him with a good one.
Man, worst to worst to worst. Now all the Whites. This guy, someone's going to come up on the left here. They don't have more footage of it, but not the guy, not that Rangers player. Look at this. This next guy, he's going to come up, and he's about to jump up.
If y'all never watched John Boy, which y'all probably all have. Hey, Ollie, how much your portfolio is in short-term gains? I like your Luka vid. I've been thinking more about this, and it seems like most buys we were making will decrease in value over time. Yeah, for sure. It's the truth. I mean, it's fun, but we're kind of talking about how much of my portfolio, probably like less than 5%. I mean, like I said, most of my stuff is in vintage. Like it all ends up back in vintage. Like I buy I buy quite a bit of modern stuff, or I send some stuff in to get graded. You know, I buy some stuff or I open some stuff. I don't open that much retail. Actually, it's really fun having this channel because it gives me a chance to justify buying retail and opening it. And but I normally don't buy a lot of retail. I just buy singles and then grade them. Then, you know, try to find the ones that are worth grading, send those off and sell the rest raw. But yeah, I would say, yeah, it's gotten to be more, you know. It's gotten to be more. So, like, this is the stuff. But yeah, and that's kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier, that it's been really easy to make money short term in the last year because everything has just gone up, you know. But that's not the way it always goes. And that's not the way, you know, it's not going to continue to go like that. No matter how many new shipping labels that eBay creates, it's not going to continue to go like that. And so it's easy for somebody to come out of 2019 or 2020 and say, oh yeah, it's easy. You just buy cards and wait 2 weeks and sell them and blah, 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 blah. Like, no, it's not. It's not. Like, this whole year you could basically just buy a card and list it for twice what you bought it for and wait for it to sell. Or like buy a $2,000 card and list it at $2,500 and just wait for it to sell. And it might, you know, Might take a day. Like, honestly, somebody has a good game, it might take a day. But that's not normal. And so, no, like, the thing is, with the modern population counts of PSA 10s, like, it's all great until it's not. Like, once something bad happens, or once people move on to, like, the next hot rookie or hot player or whatever, then once people start selling, there's so many in the market that the bottom just falls out. Like, just falls out of whatever's there. So, yeah, I would be really, it's not that people shouldn't. Like, it's fun, and there's some serious profit potential there. I wouldn't speculate with people that are already considered the best in the league, because how much upside is there? Like, there's not 100% upside, whereas, if you're going to prospect, or if you're going to speculate, like, I'd take guys that have shown, that are like third or fourth year guys that have shown improvement every year. And if they track to improve, to stay where they're at or improve as much this year, then there's a good chance their cards go up. And like, some of them, like, I really think, like Brandon Ingram and Bam Adebayo and some of the guys I outlined, I think they have 300 to 500% ROI potential this year. Whereas, like, your guys that are already the best, they don't have that potential. So they're not, in my opinion, even in the short term, they're not as good of an investment. But yeah, I mean, if I was just starting out and I had $10,000 to put into sports cards, I would put probably, I probably wouldn't put over 20% in, like, modern, like, stuff within the last 10 years. Unless it's LeBron. But even that, like, the market is probably overvalued compared to, like, just as a whole is overvalued because of what we've seen this year, how much we've seen this year. So, but yeah, I would try to find guys that have a high upside, and diversify between, like 10 players. Like, that's basically what I'm doing right now. I've got 10 guys, baseball, football, and basketball, that I'm picking up that I think have a high upside that I can pick up cheap. They're way too cheap right now. So Brandon Ingram, Bam Adebayo, Pete Alonso, Alex Bregman, Bryce Harper, I don't know that, I don't have any football. Football's tough. It's midway through the season. Like, I have some football that I'm submitting to PSA right now, but I haven't been buying anybody because, like, what are your odds? Like, in football, your odds of somebody turning out to be good or having a good season and not getting injured, like, even people that stay healthy. Like, I remember when Chad Ochocinco was, like, one of the best receivers in football, and then, like, 2 years later, he's retired. He wasn't even that old. I was like, what the hell happened to him? Gotcha. Yeah, I'm new to collecting from when I was a kid. I've been buying a bunch of stuff, and I don't like the idea that I'm going to flip something to someone who will likely lose money. Yeah? We need to flip to make some money. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I think the best buys right now are Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens, because I think they have a really, really good chance of getting in the Hall of Fame this year. Tim Duncan and Kevin Garnett, for the same reason. Their Hall of Fame celebration is going to be this year. And they are they're doing the top 75 players ever in the NBA, and they're both in that category. So they'll do that this year because it's the 75th anniversary. After that, like on down that line, that's maybe a little more long term, would be the 1998 rookie class, which would be Paul Pierce, Vince Carter, and Dirk Nowitzki. They're just really cheap right now, especially like I think 1998 Topps hobby boxes are maybe the best value in unopened wax right now, if they aren't all stuck together. But they shouldn't be too bad. Buy what you need. Like, I don't understand how some of these rookie cards who have done nothing are going for so much money. Yeah, speculators, like flipper speculators, people want to get in on the next Luka Doncic rookie card. But the thing is, it only comes around about every 20 years. Like, for real. Like LeBron, you know, a person like that actually ends up with being that person for the rest of their career comes around about every 20 years. All right. See, Julius Erving, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, kind of, I don't know, Julius Erving mainly as far as cards. Michael Jordan, LeBron James, who knows? I mean, Luka's, it's his third year. I mean, I don't know. I love Luka. I love watching him. He's super exciting. I don't think he's the most exciting player in basketball to watch. I think there's a good chance that if he had a better team around him, that his stats might not be as high as they are right now. If he had, you know, not that he has a terrible team. Porzingis is great, but they're not exactly a contender. They might be this year, but they weren't last year. Yali. So true, Yali. Buy what you need, yeah. So I wanted to do it for fun and downtime, but then I feel like, how am I buying cards now that are purely speculative, right? Okay, so that's basically where I'm at, and probably 50-50. But now, I think I'm just going to sell off all my speculative stuff like Darius, Kelton, and Bol Bol. I bought a bunch of DK, RPAs, and mainly rookie cards. Oh, okay. I was looking at those Bregman cards, especially the Donruss, and they're an excellent buy. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, DK Metcalf. Oh, I got you. Yeah. I bought an auto 79 Kareem. Look at it this way. LeBron has to go the next 3 years of his career with really, really good numbers to beat Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's all-time scoring record. Like, he can't just have 3 decent years. Like, he has to have another 3 superstar years. So, yeah, I think all of that will be good long term. Some of the Bregman stuff I've been picking up. I have picked up some 9s. But yeah, I've been buying quite a bit of Bregman. There's a rookie patch auto, Donruss rookie patch auto out of $299. I think I paid like $30 for that. Just ridiculously low amount of money. Let's see. These are both 9s, but they were like $10 a piece. These 2017 Bowman Chrome rookies, PSA 10s. I got these for $12.50 a piece. I got 4 of them for $50. And like right after I bought them, I guess the guy realized they were way too cheap or something. I think he had them listed at $15. Buy it now, but I noticed he had several of them. He had 9 of them, and I thought, well, I'll buy these first 5 and see how the transaction, or first 4 and see how the transaction goes, and I'll probably buy the other 5. I wish I'd have bought all of them, but whatever. That was enough for me. But yeah, the gray uniform Bowman Chrome actual rookie card. I bought 4 of them for $50, including shipping. So I've got some other stuff in here, but Bregman stuff. But there's another. This is a sticker auto, but I think it was even less. I think it was like $20 or something like that, something crazy. Donruss. That's an 18 sticker auto. But yeah. And then like his regular 2017 Bowman rookies, like I picked up these are in really good condition. They're like $2 a piece, which is nothing. Like you can get that all day. But I am kind of waiting until after Christmas to really start putting stuff. Here's a 2017 Prism Bregman rookie out of $2.99. It was $5, which is about what they sell for, but it's just ridiculously cheap, in my opinion. For a guy that's 26 years old, has 2 All-Stars, a Silver Slugger, widely considered the best third baseman in baseball. Whatever. Yeah, it's just, I say widely. I mean, I know a lot of people in baseball that think that would say he's the best third baseman in baseball. The whole thing is the whole sign stealing thing, which is a big deal. Like that's wrong. But okay, I'll get into it on stream. I'm not going to make a video about it, but I'll get into it on stream. Okay, so here's the problem I have with the whole sign stealing thing. Now, for one, it's not like anybody has ever come out and said Alex Bregman was stealing signs. Like, it's not directly tied to him, so I don't think it's that big a deal. And I think it will affect his cards less and less going forward. But here's the main thing, is everybody that played the Astros those years absolutely knew that they were stealing signs. You cannot tell me that if you can hear, if the batter can hear that trash can be getting banged, then that means the hitter can hear it, or if the hitter can hear it, that means the catcher can hear it, the umpire can hear it, the first base umpire can hear it, the first baseman can hear it, and the pitcher can hear it. So the whole time they're doing that, everybody in baseball, the umpires included, know that they're doing it. You cannot tell me that a home plate umpire or a catcher or a pitcher does not notice that there's this loud bang going off every time they throw a changeup or whatever. So everybody knows about it. Nobody says or does anything. Now, why? Like, why? Is it just because, unspoken code of baseball? I don't think so. I think, one, if it's just them, I think there's 2 options. Okay, one, if it's just them, no. I think, one, if it's just them, the league doesn't want that being publicized, all right? But the league did nothing to stop them. Apparently didn't even tell them to stop, and they could have done that without publicizing it. But even I think, and I'm not saying this is what it is. I'm not trying to start a fight with anybody, but I think that the thing is that I think there's a lot more teams that do it than the Astros. That's what I think. I think there's a lot more teams that have done things. I know there is, but did they do it to an illegal level of using electronic devices? I would say there's more of that stuff that goes on than people, let on about, because everybody that they played knew that was going on. Everybody in baseball knew that was going on for apparently 3 years. And it didn't come out until some nosy-ass people started digging around on the internet and started their own investigation and put it out there to everybody. So, nobody had a problem with it. Christian Yelich and Aaron Judge and all these guys that are out there talking trash on the Astros, they didn't want to say anything until it was already out there in the media, but they knew, and they didn't say anything. So, the gentleman's agreement, or is it, we're doing things that maybe aren't so, that we don't want people talking about, so we're not going to talk about other people doing those things. I don't know, but that's kind of, I'm just throwing that out there. I think that there's more to it than just, the Astros are bad and they were doing something, they were cheating and they got caught. They didn't get caught. Like, everybody in baseball knew they were doing it and didn't say anything. So, they didn't, and the league didn't do anything about it. So why didn't the league do anything about it? Probably because on the inside of baseball, it probably wasn't that big of a deal. I don't know. But I just find that interesting because there's no doubt in my mind that every catcher, pitcher, home plate umpire, and first base, first baseman, everybody knew they were doing it. Astros got caught early, so that's a good thing for those young players. Yeah, I'm just surprised at how blatant they were about it. Like, there's got to be a better way to do it than just bang it on a trash can. It just seems like they're just asking to get caught. Like, it's just so in your face that they're not even trying to hide it. So maybe that's because there's no reason to try to hide it. Maybe that's because everybody does it and they just don't give a shit because there's no reason to. Because nobody's going to say anything, because if they say anything, then they're just as culpable as the next person. They're just as much, they're just as much in on it as anybody. I don't know. But that's something I've definitely been thinking about lately, because I don't think it was right at all. But also, I just think it's interesting. Ever since I first heard about it, everybody knows about it. Not that I did, but if this is how they did it, then everyone they played knew that they were doing this. At least everyone that had a stake in the ball being pitched, you knew about it. At least the pitcher and the catcher and the home plate umpire. And you see a lot of stuff where they're talking about how teams would try to adjust for that because they knew they were doing it. The rumors about the buzzers inside their uniform, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they said they stopped using the bat on the trash can and started using the buzzers. But there's also data that shows that they were better away than they were at home. And also, Mike Trout's saying, let me know what pitch is coming. Well, you don't know, I'm going to have fun if I know what pitch is coming. And Mike Trout's awesome, but it's kind of a bullshit thing to say, because how much better does it make you to find out a split second before that pitch is thrown, or while that pitch is being thrown a lot of the times? That would be more distracting to me than anything. And they even went into how a lot of the players said that they didn't want that because that's distracting. They didn't want to know what pitch was coming. So I don't know. I just see these guys reacting to it and talking to reporters and talking all this hard trash. Guys that I like, but I'm that's kind of lame. That's kind of lame, sitting in front of a reporter and talking trash. I don't know. I kind of feel that way, but it's whatever. I still think Alex Bregman's a great buy right now. Buy Alex Bregman. But who knows? He might come out this year and completely flop. This might, his best days might be behind him. I saw something else that said his barreled balls were really low last year, which a barreled ball is a stat that they use to show like a ball that is barreled, like a home run that is barreled, hits a certain part of the bat that gives it like a way better trajectory. But he hit a lot of non-barreled home runs, and non-barreled home runs over time don't hold up as well. Like it's harder to hit over time. It's harder to maintain high home run numbers as you get older if you're not hitting barrels. So we'll see, but I don't know. He's so cheap right now for a guy that, in 4 years has 2 All-Stars and a Silver Slugger and a Gold Glove. I think he's got a Gold Glove. I don't know. Just seems super cheap to me. Same thing with Pete Alonso. Guy that hit 53 home runs in this day and age, in his rookie year, and won the Home Run Derby against Vladimir Guerrero, and they both set records. Like they both broke the record for most home runs in a round, and I think every round. They were hitting like... Why are Mike Trout's cards so expensive? Even though he has not won a championship? Is it the numbers or the MJ factor? I think Mike Trout's cards are just expensive because he's just an awesome player every year. He doesn't have a championship, but he has a lot of MVPs, league MVPs. Let's look up Mike Trout. I don't know that $4 million for a Bowman Retro or a Bowman Superfractor is... I don't consider that a very good investment, but I'm not the one who spent $4 million on it, so, it is what it is. Let's see. Mike Trout has a career WAR of 74.4, which is good enough to put him in the Hall of Fame already. And he's only 29 years old. He's not even 30 yet. Has a career batting average of 304 over 300. And the guy's just... He has a career OPS of 1,000. That's almost unheard of. No OPS plus of 176. So for reference, OPS plus, the average in the MLB is 100. He has a career of 176. He's just been an amazing player every year he's played. So that's his minor leagues, right? What is this? Registered bat. Oh, where's just his career stats? What the heck? 3-time MVP, Rookie of the Year, 8-time All-Star, 7-time Silver Slugger, 7-time Silver Slugger, 2-time All-Star MVP, Major League Player of the Year, Wilson Overall Defensive Player of the Year. So I mean, he's that 5-tool guy. He's just like good at everything. Now, he's the next Mickey Mantle. That's what people think when they spin that, when they buy his cards. But there's a risk there. If Mike Trout, and that's why, I had 2 Trout PSA 10s, 2011 Topps Update. I had 3, actually. I had a PSA 9, and I had 2 10s. I had a complete set of 2011 at Topps Update. And I sold the 2 10s along with the rest, like an Altuve and JD Martinez 10, and a full complete set for $2,500 in 2018, which is probably $7,000 now. Would probably sell for somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000 now. But I'm pretty happy with the $2,500 I got in 2017 or 2018, because had he got hurt, maybe it was the beginning of 2019. I can't remember. But if he gets hurt, you're never getting anything close to that, right? if he gets hurt bad, you know, and his career's like never the same, or even if he just gets hurt, like I needed the money at the time when I sold it. Like I needed the money for other stuff. So, yeah, I mean, don't ever look back and think, what if? Because it's just like, it's not worth it. Just take your wins when you can get them and move on. You know, there's always going to be good deals. There's always going to be good deals. There's always going to be smart plays to make. Yeah. Yeah, one of the reasons Mike Trout's cards are so expensive is because he plays in LA. He plays in California. So, like, it's a big market. Big market players get more attention. They have more collectors. They get higher prices. Yankees players get higher prices than pretty much everyone else comparable player in the country. But yeah, I mean, there's still risks, especially for what his cards sell for. There's still risks there, you know. But considering, you know, baseball and basketball and football are completely different when it comes to cards. Like, football's really tough. I don't know. Like, it's hard for me to recommend football cards to buy. Basketball, just because people don't have extended seasons. Like, the only thing I can recommend about football is buy in May and sell in August. That's about the only thing I can say about football is take the hot players and buy them when they're low in the middle of the off season and sell them right before the season starts. So if they get hurt in the first game, it's not going to hurt you. But overall, baseball's like not as volatile. It doesn't fluctuate as much, but it's also like more stable. Well, just not as volatile. Like, you're not gonna see like 1,000% return on a card in baseball normally, but you see a lot more 300%, 400% returns on cards. Like, those Bregmans could be 1,000% return. Like, those Bregmans are selling for $10 right now, could easily be $100 in a year from now. Like basketball, no chip, no cap. The cards ain't worth this much. No, I don't think. Basketball's always, like, people have always been willing to pay more for basketball. I think it's just a more exciting sport. You know, you take a sport where the most a guy can home run in a game is about twice, maybe 3 times. You know, a guy can pull off a lot of pretty impressive, exciting dunks and passes in a basketball game. And people have always been willing to pay more for modern basketball, at least over the last 20 years since LeBron. For like ultra modern within the last couple of years. But that fades. Oh my gosh. That fades so hard. Like, look at James Harden's rookie cards. And it doesn't matter how good the player is. Like, basketball cards are fickle. Like, once somebody better comes along, or not even somebody better, just somebody different that's like more exciting, like, suddenly you're yesterday's news in the card market and you go back to just being regular. Like Anthony Davis, like, his cards took a big leap because he went to the Lakers and it was 2020 and he won the title, right? But I think had Anthony Davis stayed in New Orleans and they hadn't won a title, you know, I think he'd be looked at the same as like Jokic, probably. Like, it is not. AD comes out of the 2012 rookie class though, so that's a first year prism. That's a lot of the reason his cards go for so much, is it's a low pop set, and there's a lot of factors to take into play. All right, we have been on here for 4 hours.
think I'm going to sign off. Thanks a lot for hanging out. It's been a lot of fun. I really enjoy this. I really enjoy hanging out with y'all and just talking about sports cards and just whatever y'all want to talk about. So, I will catch you later. Thanks, Bonnie. Have a good evening.